Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show. Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we are going to be talking about, of course, another very interesting conversation. We're going to deal with Black people's biggest problem, y'all. Black people's biggest problem, okay? And that's white interference. Featuring my main man, KFC, y'all. It's featuring my main man, KFC, okay? Y'all, and I'm laughing at somebody in the chat. That's what I'm doing. I'm laughing at somebody in the chat. But we are going to be dealing with Black people's biggest problem, okay? And I've come to the conclusion that that is white interference, and it is featuring our main man, KFC, who before before Charlie Kirk was taken down, okay, there's some, y'all know how white people do. They don't like you, they'll just kill you, okay? They really got an issue with you, they'll just kill you. That, that's just how white people get down. So unfortunately, Kevin C got to debate Charlie Kirk, but they done shot the dude and he's gone now. So, I'll never get my opportunity. I definitely wouldn't have mind doing that with myself. I wouldn't mind doing that with myself, but I ain't gonna get no opportunity that took dude out. Okay. And not that I really wanted to, but somebody asked me about, what you think about, could you handle Charlie? I don't think it would have been that difficult. I just don't think it would have been that difficult. But KFC actually got a chance before he was taken out. But white folks, y'all, they when they really bout something, about they a lot of them be about their life, as they say, y'all. They be about that life. So it is what it is. But we're going to get into this, y'all. Now, before we get heavy into this, let me take a quick moment out to say thank you to the people who support y'all. And I got some thank yous in here. And I just decided I'm going to just go and let them be how they are, because I didn't know who was doing it at first. I didn't figure it. Well, he told us because I didn't even figure it out. And when I was trying to figure out who was doing this stuff, it didn't turn out to be exactly who I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to say shout out to the real Birdman, y'all. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to the real Birdman. He is a sponsor of today's stream. And as I've told y'all before, big or small, I do appreciate it all. Okay, big or small, I do appreciate it all. Now, I do believe, and he can correct us if I'm wrong, I believe this was Red Pill Sleeper Cell now. So shout out to him. Shout out to Red Pill Sleeper Cell, who came through on one of those streams as the real Birdman. And like I said, if I'm wrong, you just let me know. I want people to get credit what credit is due, but shout out to the real Birdman, for being a supporter of the show. And that's real talk. And let me give a few shout outs for the first people to check in this morning, y'all. Shout out to my main man, representing again, y'all. He be doing it, man. I think he done found the keyhole or whatever. He done found the rift in the system or something, because he making it happen on a regular basis now. Shout out to my main man, Trail Bentley, who is now once again representing as he always do. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. And my personal favorite, hashtag Hail Hydra. He is once again what we like to call the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. Y'all make sure y'all get you 1, 2, 3, or 4. Trail Bentley right now is collecting them all. So shout out to him. Shout out to my main man, KNC and Red. Great to see you. Great to see you. We got Inspired Truth broadcast in the building. Good to see you, my brother. Floyd Thompson is here. Yay, yay. Glad to have you in the house. The righteous teacher done pulled up a seat at the cool table. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Our main man, the guy who keeps it all in a nice little flow, the pit master himself, Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building. Great to have you. Great to have you. We also have Afro Merchant in the house. Good to see you. J Bones is here. What's happening, J Bones? Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. Tunnel Runner is in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Mr. Teeth is here, checking in from the UK, y'all. Checking in from the UK. Bruce Owen Wayne, a.k.a. Dusty King. And I'm just going to say, hey, Bruce, you right, brother. You right. Kevin 3905 is in the building. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Nice sometimes is here, y'all. The new and improved nice sometimes, man. I'm still happy for you, brother. I'm still happy for you. So the new and improved nice sometimes is in the building. Great to see you. Great to see you, y'all. And of course, there was a couple links in the description. I'm sure y'all have checked out at this particular point. If y'all watch the Roger Report live, understand that there are things that happen. And a lot of shows, I will put links in the description. Not necessarily every single show, but I will put links in the description. So before the show gets started, or you catching it on the replay, make sure you check out to see if there's links in the description, so you will know what we're referring to from time to time. Okay. Shout out to Chef Mike. I just saw that, Chef Mike. I'm about to jump on it in 1 second. I'm gonna say shout out to Latterus Brown. Okay, shout out to Latterus Brown. I see you, my brother. Appreciate you. We got a instruction here by Chef to read his last statement, y'all. I gotta go see what his last statement was. Boom, there he is. There we are. Okay, he says, at the Roger Report Live, I would like to nominate KFC for congressional privilege. Thank you, bro. Congressional privilege. He would be right under elder and just above Ivy League. Y'all, if y'all ain't been able to figure out, I got a whole lot of respect for Chef, y'all. I got a whole lot of respect for Chef. And KFC is a person that has done so much for himself, his family, his country. It is hard to not give him some level of privilege. That's been something I know I've been wrestling with myself. I'm going to have to talk to, you know what Chef Mike's Brown said? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I'm not saying we ain't giving it, we giving it to him. Okay. KFC is going to have congressional privilege, y'all. Real talk. Okay. Because he deserves it. Real talk. He deserves it. Chef Mike's, I'm going to definitely talk to you off air and we going to hash out some things about that. But he does have it. Okay. Point blank, period. He got it. Congressional privilege it is. Shout out to KFC. And if y'all have checked out the links, which I expect y'all have done so, this show is definitely inspired by KFC. And he is in the links, y'all. He is in the links. So go ahead, check that out. Check that out. He is in the links if you haven't already seen it. But we're going to be talking about, y'all, what is Black people's biggest problem. Now, Charlie Kirk was this guy people were trying to prop up, and people really try to prop somebody up after they die. So they try to make him a bigger thing than what he was in life. Okay. He was just another white guy who had bad stuff to say about Black people at the end of the day. But in a country that promotes hating Black men, a lot of people gonna back you for doing something like that. They'll even back a nigga for doing something like that. Yes, there are niggas, and I'm talking about how they're seen by the people who do it. There are niggas who will come out and say bad stuff about, Black folks. And they see them as a nigga too. But even if you a nigga, if you talk about niggas, you can be rewarded. And there's a lot of people who try it on social media. Some of them clearly know what they're doing. Some of them have just accepted a lot of nonsense white folks told them. And they think whatever white folks say matters. Just that simple at the end of the day. Okay? But you don't have to be an important person or anything like that. Now, shout out to Chala. He said, Chef/Roger, much appreciated. Thank you. Hey, brother, you earned that. You earned that. That's just real talk. You earned that. Okay. Now, Chef, of course, you're welcome to come up anytime. Usually I like to get that first 30 minutes in myself, but you can come up whenever you want because it's about you today, brother. This is your show. This is your show. Now, I do want to say, y'all, and shout out to 7-9 Cali Hakate. I see you, my brother. Appreciate you. Charlie Kirk, which people were trying to prop up to make him bigger than what he was. He's just another white man who has some bad stuff to say about Black people. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And they gave him a lot of money because of that. Okay. He was able to get a lot of money because of that. I am not surprised about that when you are in America, because there are white people who gonna put money behind you because they want to hear you say bad things about Black men. And that's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. And Charlie Kirk would try to angle his conversation, and I told y'all when he got killed, I had to, refresh myself with some of his content or whatever the case is. And I saw it. He was trying to push everything basically on Black men, especially with, where the clip was where he's talking about Black babies. The man don't understand about nothing that was going on in the Black community. And you know what? Shout out to KFC. He actually told me to put the second link in there. And of course, with his congressional privilege, how can I deny his request? So you see, when Charlie Kirk has to debate someone and they know what they talking about, or just halfway know what they talking about, okay? It ain't so easy. It ain't so easy. Now, that young lady that Charlie Kirk was debating, she was able to poke holes in his arguments and get him tripped up and flustered and things like that, to the point that another content creator, said, hey, Let me present this. Now, this is the thing, y'all. This is the thing. You got to think about it. Charlie Kirk posted that. Somehow his people, whoever it is, I don't know, whoever it was, they tried to take that like that was a victory. The black young lady who was, you know, she was handling him. For some reason, they took that as a victory. Because when you do stuff like this, y'all, you do stuff like this, it's very easy to only put up the content that you want seen. And I tell y'all, anytime you have somebody do something that's edited, this is what they want you to see. They edit stuff in a way that they want to present it, and they want you to see it that way. So I'm gonna say my main man Phil, because I know who Phil is. Okay. And I believe Phil does a lot of great things, so I'm gonna go ahead and say his name. Okay. I forget the name of his channel. I think it's called the Diaspora channel now. Okay. He used to, I know he hosted Phil the Advised show, but I think he had his channel might be the Diaspora channel at this point. I'm not really sure because I don't really look at the channel name, but I've seen plenty of his content before. And I ain't got nothing against Phil. He cool people. You know what I'm saying? At least as far as what I know. He brought attention to the fact that some young lady was able to get Charlie all flustered extremely easily. I'm gonna say that it looked like it was extremely easy to meet. Okay. So Charlie can't handle people that know what they're talking about. Charlie can't handle people that didn't really know what they was talking about. Charlie just want to get you where he's gonna lead you in something, whether it's real or not. That's the way it seemed to me. Okay, just real talk. And I understand people say, "Well, you think you could debate Charlie and beat him?" Yeah, honestly, I do. I don't even think it would have been difficult for me. I'm just being the truth. Now, that's not me being arrogant. I'm just telling y'all because I understand people see stuff like that and they'll be like, "Well, you couldn't have did." Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have took much of an effort at all. Okay. Now, KFC actually debated him. And what I doubt you're ever going to see. This is what I doubt you'll ever see, y'all. And now, if it happens, great. But I'm pretty sure, and shout out to Mr. T. He said the name of the channel is African Diaspora News Channel. Shout out to you, Mr. T. And y'all know I don't really like promoting other content creators. That's just not what my thing is because they ain't paid nothing over here. But I'm making an exception for the African Diaspora News Channel. Okay, that's on me. I'm making that exception for him. Okay. So now Charlie Kirk has debated people, and I totally believe just like when KFC ran up on Charlie Kirk. Okay, put him down in the debate. Now you see, we saw the back end of KFC talking to him. All right. And you see what Charlie Kirk was not prepared for a man who knows about what he's talking about. Okay. So his whole thing was, hey, man, I'm white. You bringing up numbers I may not be aware of. Now, he could be aware of them. I'm not going to say he came up as if he were aware of them. Sometimes people be lying when they say, well, I'm not aware of what you're talking about. Sometimes people be lying. And he is a white man that was trying to make a living off downing black people. That was one of his main focuses. So he could know what he's talking about, but just don't want to actually give light to it. Or he intentionally avoided things that put black men in a positive light, which is why he would know. Because if you're doing what he's doing, that would be a stat that you should very much be aware of. You may not like the stat, but you should at least be very much aware of the stat because of what he's actually doing for a living. Now, me not being a content creator, I may not know about that myself, but because I am a content creator, now certain things like that you start learning about. Just is what it is. Now, I'm going to say KFC obviously was beating up on Charlie Kirk. Now, why do I think KFC was beating up on Charlie Kirk? Because unlike the young lady that he did post, okay, and Phil did his thing to show how it pops off when you know a little something about what you're talking about with Charlie Kirk, and how he could easily get flustered because he just don't know how to respond. He ain't posting Kevin C. Y'all think about that. He ain't posted KFC. Now, I'm going to say this, y'all. I done looked on his channel a few times to see if he posts KFC. I am unaware that he has, at least at this point. I'm not saying I went through watching this whole channel because I ain't gonna do that. I ain't that interested in Charlie Kirk for that. But at this point, I am unaware that he's posted KFC. And honestly, I don't think he is. I don't think his people are. Well, he can't do it himself now, but I don't think his people are going to post KFC. Okay, I seriously doubt that's going to happen. All right. Now, excuse me. At the end of the day, you won't seen what you won't seen when you're doing something that's edited. Now, me, I do a live show, so yeah, something could happen that I don't necessarily want said, or some people can go off or whatever. Maybe it's not a cool thing. Maybe I don't like it, but it's live. That can happen on live stuff. But when you edit stuff, this is what you want to present. So obviously, this was their version of a win. Whoever was on Charlie Kirk's team, this was their version of a win when they was dealing with the young lady. I don't think they came to the conclusion that they got to win when it comes to KFC, because y'all know KFC know a little bit too much off the top of his head. And I got to give the man props. It's amazing what KFC can pull off the top of his head. I can answer some questions and things like that. I have to look stuff up. KFC just be throwing stuff out there on top of his head like it's nothing. And props to him for that. Props to him for that. That's a great thing to be able to do when you're using it in a very positive way. It's a great thing to be able to do. Now I'm gonna say Charlie Kirk, he did ask KFC a good question, but I do want y'all to know that when he asked Kev that question, what he was trying to do, if you didn't pick up on it, he was trying to get rid of KFC because obviously he was getting grilled. So he was on some, how do I make this man who actually know what he's talking about go away? Because I don't want to come off like I lost. Okay? But obviously, this man has me against the ropes right now. And I got these people in front of me. The camera is on. It's like he was in a boxing ring and he was taking all kind of body shots and leaning over. Kev was obviously peppering him up. So his whole thing was, how do I get out of this ring? Now, unfortunately for him, he asked a question that I heard. And I think it was a good question. Now, he used the question to get away from Kev. I'm saying from a standalone standpoint, it is a good question, which is, what is the biggest thing, or the biggest impediment that Black people are dealing with right now? That's a good question. It's just sad that he used it to try to get Kev to go away. Okay? That's all it was. I need him to go away because I cannot beat this man. And that's cool. And if y'all don't think that's what the case is, then go to Charlie Kirk's channel and see if you can find him posting KFC's full clip. Because I don't think you're going to find it. I couldn't find it. Now, this is the thing that I'm somewhat hoping for. I'm hoping that since he has now passed away, I'm hoping somebody gonna mess up and put the stream up. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping because he is gone and he is not there to stop a person from doing something. I hope somebody mess up and put the whole clip up. All right. That's what I hope for. I didn't see it while he was alive. Now, if he got it up and I just didn't see it, that's one thing. I did go looking for it, though. I'm gonna admit to that. I did go looking for it. I just couldn't find it. So whenever I was looking, I just didn't see it. All right. I wasn't listening to his whole content all the way through to see it. I was skipping through stuff, but I just couldn't find it. All right. Now, I do want to look at the question that he asked in order to get away from the conversation with KFC, because it is a good question. What is black people's biggest problem? And he was talking about black folks in America. So this will include mainly FBA people. Sometimes people could refer to other people who've come over as immigrants. They might be referring to Nigerians, or they could be referring to Haitians, or Ethiopians, whatever have you. But I think when people say black, and especially in negative way, they're really talking about foundational black Americans. And that's just what it is. And white people been bothering foundational black Americans since we've been here. Since they got here in 1492, it's been issues. All right. Slavery, the official date they give us is 1619. This is pre the America that we have today, which is technically from 1776. Not that they weren't already doing stuff before 1776. Okay. Now, this is the thing. Shout out to Family Business. He say, so KFC don't have a cop. KFC was on the mic at the time. You can't film yourself at the mic when you own the mic. That they wouldn't even allow you to do something like that. You've never seen somebody do that in any of his content. So no, he wouldn't have it. Okay. Someone else may have been in the crowd, could have possibly recorded it. So it could get out one day. But that's only if somebody else that was in the crowd would have recorded it. And see, this is the thing about social media. A lot of stuff that some of y'all believe is real, don't be real because you caught it from the beginning. A lot of stuff, when the action really pop off, you catch it in the middle or at the end because you weren't expecting it. So like, there's a lot of videos people have suggested that I use. And I, First of all, at this point, I'm starting to recognize actors in skits that people do as if it were real. And I'm seeing the same actors. And that's what I'm calling them. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to disrespect them, but I see you in too many stuff that ain't got nothing to do with each other. So they're actors at the end of the day. They just be making up stuff. And they probably getting views and money off of it, so I get it. But yeah, you can't expect somebody to be at Charlie Kirk's event filming themselves while they're talking to him on the mic. This doesn't make sense. Okay, it just doesn't. Somebody else would have had to have gotten it. Man, hopefully somebody did. Maybe it does come out one day. But there is a question that, like I said, he was trying to get away from KFC because KFC, I believe, was beating him up. So how do I get away from that? Let me ask this particular question. Okay, let me ask a question. All right. Now, let me address Family Business one more time real quick. He said, that's like saying I stole on Tyson, but I didn't tape it. Come on. Family Business, that was not an intelligent thing to say. That was kind of stupid. Okay. And I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just pointing out the fact that was an extremely stupid comment to make. And I try to discourage people from making stupid comments in a public area. Why is that stupid? Because who plans on stealing off Tyson? If you're not an actual fighter, who plans to just hit Mike Tyson? And if you were going to hit Mike Tyson because something went on that you believe you would have to hit Mike Tyson about, how you going to pull out your camera and record yourself hitting Mike Tyson? That's why I'm saying your comment was very stupid. That's like saying I stole on Mike Tyson, but I didn't tape it. Who plans to steal on Mike Tyson? If you ain't a boxer, why would you steal on Mike Tyson? Number one, you don't expect to even meet Mike Tyson 9 times out of 10. Number two, the last thing you expect to do is to get into a fight with Mike Tyson. Number three, Mike Tyson has a reputation that he will beat the brakes off you anywhere. Okay? Another fighter done tried Mike Tyson and he ain't got a good story to tell. So no, that's still, who's gonna plan to steal off Mike Tyson? And then if you didn't plan it, why would you have your camera ready? Okay. All right. Now, this is the thing. So obviously KFC did his job if Charlie's team didn't post it. And like I said, I've looked for it, y'all. I have looked for it. All right. So this is the thing. All right. There was something good that came out of it because he did ask a question. What is basically what's the biggest issue that black people have in this particular country? And see, I thought about that question. I say, okay, it's a good question. I'm not going to say his name, Trail Bentley, but since you threw it, he say, shout out to Mitch Greenwood. I thought it was Mitch Green, but shout out to him anyway. Shout out to him anyway. You know what? I respect Mitch because Mitch let me know what's gonna happen if I ran up on Titus. Shout out to him doing it, so I ain't got to do it. Okay, shout out to him doing it, so I ain't got to do it. Okay, real talk. Okay, but yeah, see, the thing is, Charlie Kirk did ask a question, was to get Kev to leave him alone. That's really what that was. That was his way of stopping the fight. That's really what that was. I need to stop the fight. So he said, what's the biggest problem, with Black America? And Kev said, I haven't thought about what the biggest problem is because, we obviously know KFC is aware of a bunch of different issues that go on with Black America because he's, I've been honored to have KFC on my broadcast multiple times. Unfortunately, we've lost channels, but, multiple times we've had KFC up here, so we know how he is. Oh, my bad, brother. My bad. I didn't drop the link, y'all. He just notified me I didn't drop the link. My apologies. Let me get that done right now. So now, this is the thing, y'all. What is the biggest problem Black folks have? I'm going to say straight up, it's white interference. Okay? Since white people been in this country, they have interfered with what Black people are doing. All right? Charlie Kirk was just another guy trying to interfere with Black people. He was trying to do it on a more indirect level. He was trying to do it to get laws changed or anything that he believed was going to help Black people. He wanted to put a sentiment out there that it should not happen. That's what he was going for at the end of the day. All right. Now, is this unusual? No, not at all. Plenty of white people do this. All right. It's all over mainstream media. And guess what? You can be a Black person and they want you to do it too. And if you won't do it, they'll fire you. It's that simple at the end of the day. If you, as even a Black person, won't be negative toward Black America to their satisfaction, they will literally fire you. It's done happened to a few people on more than one occasion. Okay, they just don't care. They have the agenda. All right. And now I'm not tripping if folks have an agenda, but I do want people to understand is people have agendas. At the end of the day, I have an agenda. You got an agenda. That's just the way the game goes. So the thing is, whose agenda are you the most comfortable with? That's the only real thing. See, people have said stuff to Black folks, and Black folks have been put on the ropes by stuff that didn't even make sense. People, so a Black person doing a positive thing for Black people, and they'll say, hey, don't listen to that guy. He's got an agenda. Everybody got an agenda. Who don't have it? Man, made up characters have agendas. Santa Claus got an agenda. He made up, but he got an agenda. What's Santa Claus' agenda? To get presents to the good children around the world. That's what Santa Claus' agenda. He's a totally made up character, and he got an agenda. The Easter Bunny got an agenda. I'm gonna give eggs. Now I'm a rabbit, but I'm gonna give eggs out for people to have fun and celebrate Easter. Okay, I'm a rabbit, but that's what I'm gonna do. Everybody has an agenda. And I've seen Black people get tripped up because somebody pointed out the fact that they have an agenda. You got one too. Okay? You got one too. All right? Now, KFC has joined us, so I'm going to give him the mic, but I want to read a statement from Black Uru first, and then I'm going to give it to you right after that. Black Uru Strike says, contact the school itself. There is a good chance the department that sponsored his visit recorded Kirk's visit, unless he expressly prohibited it. Also, student groups very likely recorded the visit. you know what? Shout out to Black Rule Strikes, y'all. We might be able to come up with the footage. That's a great suggestion. We might be able to come up with some footage. And I'm gonna say, if we come up with the footage, I ain't gonna say it's got to be an exclusive at the Roger Report Live because I would want other people to see it. But I sure would like to get my hands on it. And that's real talk. So shout out to Black Who Strikes. That's a great suggestion. And I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give the well, shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast real quick. He said, always be suspicious of the white rabbit. The white rabbits will take you into some places sometimes. But we got the man of the hour. KFC is in the building. So you have the mic, my brother. And you can start anywhere you like. But I'm just going to say my personal opinion, okay, based off the facts that I can tell about what's going on in this country. The question that he asked you that you hadn't necessarily thought about in a long way at that particular time, what's Black people's biggest problem? And I thought about it. And I came up with white interference. But start wherever you like, my brother. How you doing?
Yeah, hey, good morning to you, Roger. Shout out to you. Shout out to you for the title of the show, the topic, and what you're presenting here, because this is actually important information. And one good thing that I'm actually seeing coming out of this recent, spate of debates across the country, especially among Black people, is there's an analysis of some of the statements that people have been running around the country saying. Now, I don't want to make this too much about, Mr. Kirk, right? He's essentially an avatar for everybody else who's doing the same thing that he's doing, because he was basically the mouthpiece. And then you had other people running around the country doing essentially the same thing. But I'm actually glad that somebody was able to get at least a snippet of what it is I talked to him about. He came to one of the universities. I was nearby. I stopped by and I, did my thing. I had to wait a couple hours and hear some other people, but I was able to get in. And well, by the way, that wasn't the only topic that I challenged him on. I hit him on DEI when he was referencing Black pilots. I hit him on, obviously the thing about fathers. And then there was another subject I hit him on. I can't remember right now, but there was these 3 or 4 things that I hit him on, right? Oh, affirmative action, DEI. Well, what it is basically it was the Black pilot statements, and then I transitioned into DEI/affirmative action, and then I hit him on the thing about where he runs around talking about Black fathers, right? And I was going to get to the crime thing too, but basically, and you saw that whole, and you laid it out correctly, Roger. The whole point of him saying, okay, so what do you think is the biggest problem in the Black community? That was the point to get me off the stage, right? Because because every topic that I hit him on, just those 3 or 4 alone, he was basically glitching. He was stuttering and stammering, and he was trying to backtrack. And in part of a debate, one of the things I try to do is, I try to let the person that I'm talking to get to their own conclusion by presenting them the facts, right? It's easier sometimes to just say, hey, look, blurt it out. This is what this is my talking point. This is what I'm trying to support. Now I need you to actually, counter that. 'Cause I know some people use that, but one of the techniques I was using on him, and actually he was the wrong person to use it on because I took it a little bit too easy. Because he was able to get back at least, deflect, try to back out of it, try to get on another topic and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But when I come up against somebody like that, the next time that I'm doing, some kind of discussion or debate, I'm just gonna hit them right up the front with my bottom line statement. And I'm going to tell them why they're wrong. Then they have to prove me right. And I'm going to continue to hit them with the data, the facts, the studies, and everything else. But you're absolutely right. He had a hard time when presented with contrary data, right? He has this whole, positive repository of talking points that he needs to get out, that he wants his people to hear, and he wants them to leave with that message. But when you hit him with something that's contrary to his repository of talking points, it contradicts his message, and now he has to explain his message. He has to try to prove it, despite the fact that he's presented with contrary information. And I will tell you that every time that I gave him something that was, in conflict with his major talking points, he had a problem with it. It was so bad at one point that even the crowd was like, they started moaning and groaning. They started like, come on, guys. I was like, hey, I'm getting at your boy on this. I'm getting at him. Don't help him. If he can't get to this conclusion on his own, then he can't good enough to be sitting up here talking to me. And they saw that. Even the crowd they weren't turning against him. They were turning against me.
Oh, I know. You beating up their homie. you know, and they felt powerless.
Yeah. So I had to silence the crowd and then get back to the discussion, which is how at some point he eventually got to, okay, so what do you think is the biggest his redirect and deflection point, right? What do you think is the biggest thing? And I hadn't thought about that because I had all those other 3 or 4 topics right off the top of my head, so I hadn't thought about what the major problem was. But if I would have gave my answer would have been the economic situation as it relates to Black people, because Black people own about 2% of the wealth in the United States, and but we're 13% of the population, and that's not enough for a population that size. If you're 13-14% of the population, you should actually have somewhere between 10 to 11% of the wealth in the country that you're a part of, even as a minority, and we don't have that. Now, that being said, check this out. This actually relates back to your topic, because now when you ask that question, white interference. Now, why is it that Black people only have 2% of the wealth in the United States? I'll go ahead and land right there and let you respond.
Okay. And I think you're right on point. And see, that's what I said. But now, granted, I saw this while back, and I took time to actually think about what this was. It's white interference. Most problems that Black people have in this country were created by some structure. Now, of course, everybody can deal with their own part of personal responsibility, but there's plenty that has went on that has nothing to do with personal responsibility. Black folks have gotten together to do everything they need to do on their own. Okay. They've had to use subpar things to get it done as well. Because you're talking about a group of people that came out of slavery and was given nothing. So what did you have? You had your hands and your feet. And you had to make deals with your hands and your feet. What can you do? Because at the end of the day, you started with zero, literally. Okay. And y'all think about when you was 18 years old, we came to a certain point, maybe somebody a little bit later in life, but think about going into the world with nothing. Okay. With people already hating you, or at least not liking you from Jump Street. Now, we all have had our experiences. We came out of high school and then went into the world. Some of us went to college, then went into the world. But think about it. We had certain things that was given to us probably by our parents, okay, or whatever the case is. But think about starting with nothing, because that's literally how Black folks started who came out of slavery, with literally nothing. You had no place to go. You had no land. You had no home. You had literally nothing. So all you had was your hands and your feet. And that depends on how many injuries you took during slavery, of how quick you can move and things like that. So you had real issues. Now, Black folks was able to overcome a whole lot. And then what was our reward for overcoming all the negative things that happened during slavery, which immediately ushered in Jim Crow? It wasn't like it was a break. It's not like, Black folks got a week off because slavery came to an end. They didn't get a week off. They went immediately from slavery to Jim Crow. No break in between. So you literally had to start the world with nothing. If your hands and feet couldn't get it, you couldn't have it. So what happened over time? Black men did what they had to do, made deals that they didn't want to make to get us in a better position. And over time, we just simply started catching up to white folks. What was our reward for catching up to white folks? We would get harassed. We would get hung. We would get firebombed. Heck, they literally, got the U.S. military to bomb an actual city where Black people live. You would get white women to come to a town to say that somebody, sexually assaulted them. It was some Black man, of course. Never knew who the Black man was. That don't normally happen. Some Black man did it. And then they'd attack the town. They just used an excuse to attack the town because white folks were trying to present that they had some moral authority to mistreat Black people. And let's keep it real. Even to this day, y'all, if you are a well-to-do person, and I'm not going to even say you got to be anything close to rich. If you actually just pay attention to how white people look at you because you can hold a job, That's it. Especially if you have any kind of job that does not include directly servicing a white person. They got issues with it. You can tell by the way they look at you, the way they talk to you, if they talk to you. Okay. The way they move about wherever black people are, you can still see a lot of white folks got issues. Now, I'm not saying I'm not saying this is as bad as it used to be, but how come when black people do stuff on their own, which they're always talking about, your problem with you black folks is y'all won't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They don't give you no bootstraps. But when black people figure out stuff without them, how come the natural position that most white people take is they don't like it? Y'all ever notice that? You get on the job and you start outperforming people who was there before you. I ain't never seen them like it. You know, this is real stuff that happens on a regular basis. I'm checking y'all. I got a guest backstage. Let me bring him up. It's Casper. Get out of my grits. What? Thank you, nigga. What is that? Is that what that is, Casper? Get out of my grits. Thank you, nigga. You know what? Let me add him to the stage. Here he is. Casper, get out of my grits. Thank you, nigga. Is that what that is?
Hold on. No. Let me. This way.
Yo, this guy comedy is amazing. I'm gonna say that, y'all. I find his comedy amazing sometimes, y'all. The stuff he come up with. I guess you have to be Ivy League educated to come up with some of the stuff that he come up with. Okay, now that makes more sense. Okay, Casper, get out of my grits, white nigga.
Thank you.
Okay, that makes more sense. You have the flow, my brother. You have the flow.
But thank you, niggas. Kind of, that's okay too, you know. But yeah, Roger. I mean, so first of all, shout out to you, Kevin C. You know, you went into the belly of the beast, and yeah, man, you brave to go in there with you know degenerate white people that love lynching niggas. So you better than me. But at the end of the day, yeah, when he asked that question, well, wouldn't you say that's the biggest problem in Black America? No, the biggest problem in Black America is that y'all niggas are in my grits. Every time we do something, there you go. Right? And you a ghost because you pop up in different forms. You pop up as Obama sometimes. You pop up as Jada Pinkett Smith. Sometimes you pop up like yourself. You know, like y'all niggas are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. That's why we have confused black people right now called the conservatives, right? Because y'all niggas are shape shifting every which way. That you got black folks talking about as black people's problems, which is ridiculous. Because at the end of the day, let the record show. Because if we want to talk about Black American birth rate, Mr. Chuck, do you know that 1 million of black babies being born are not belonging to black men? You know who they belong to? You white niggas coming over here, stuffing your cock in that black taco, busting a nut, and then leaving her be. Because that's the real problem with Black America, right? All these Russell Wilsons running around, and goddamn Curry, Steph Curry looking niggas, right? Then talking about it's niggas' fault. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The biggest issue, but I will say that's the big issue. The second biggest issue is that we as black people care too much. I mean, white people really don't go when Umar's doing these sermons and stuff like that, and the way he talks about the LGBTQ, you don't see LGBTQ going over talking to him. We're giving white people too much power, right? And by going over there wanting to debate them, you can't change people's minds. right? If he made a decision that said, you know what, I'm gonna hate black people. All I can say is thank you because at least I know you're upfront with it. But you can't change people's mind. There's no amount of debate, there's no amount of education that you're gonna change a person's mind about. All we can ask you to do is just say, hey, if you feel that way, cool, leave us alone. Let us fix our problems, and this time, don't flood us like you did in 50 towns in Florida. When we do it this time, don't bomb us like you did in Move in Philadelphia. When we do it this time, don't have the Klan shoot it up like OKC. And that's it. I think we give white people too much power, and I think Nama's really hit the nail on the head. We're still defining blackness through the lens of white supremacy. And I pass the mic on that.
Okay. And we have Emperor here as well. So, Emperor, you got it.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm very well, thank you. I think this show is a mini series of white people being uncivilized and unsupervised. Once you let them run amok, they will always do uncivilized things. You have to always supervise them. I think you Negroes are expecting way too much from these people. You're expecting them to be fair to y'all. Y'all are expecting them to treat you well. Why would they let you bunch of Michael Jordan running around beating them up in their own games all day, all the time? Hmm? That's not fair to them. You think they're going to let y'all super Negroes beat a bunch of Michael Jordan taking their MVP spot all the time? Hmm? That's normal for them to win the game in their own favor. I would do it too. I created the game. I invented the game. And these super Negroes are trying to beat me on my own team. Of course I'm going to intervene. Of course I'm going to set you up for failure. Of course I'm going to turn your beautiful black queen into a bunch of degenerate creatures to ruin you. Of course I'm going to turn your woman into a snake, into a venomous snake at that, laying in your bed next to you. Of course I'm going to do that. I'm not trying to play fair. I'm trying to win. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna say shout out to Randall Robinson. He says white supremacists tried to go into a black neighborhood in Cincinnati and got chased out. They tried it in Florida. They got chased out. You know what? All I'm gonna say, round of applause to the black folks involved. You know, because if they went to start some trouble and they found some trouble and got chased out because of the trouble, that sounds like that's exactly how things should have went. Okay, real talk. I don't know the story, so I could just go off Randall's word. But hey, I'm going off his word for now. So shout out to the black folks involved in that. Okay, Champ Cott. No. Kev actually, Kevin 3905 beat you up here. So we'll give it to him first, then we come to you, Champ Cott.
Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
The audacity of you uppity Negroes. The audacity for y'all to shame Captain Kirk on the Starship Enterprise. Much less sending teenagers to do the job. And we got evidence of it after you gonna get the evidence of this after a white man has killed Captain Kirk. Y'all crazy. And then we gonna get up here and bloviate about KLC. Congratulations, KLC, for embarrassing this man. And we gonna dig up the footage. Man, y'all some uppity Negroes right here. I'm so proud of y'all. I don't know what to do. I'm proud of y'all. Goddamn it. I'm proud of you Negroes. I swear I am. I'm proud of you Negroes. Man, listen. This is an example of, there's a book called Please Stop Helping Us. Please Stop Helping Us. And it's about how the liberals ruin black America. And what you guys are talking about is like right in line with it. If you have not read that book, go get the audio version and listen to it. they are talking about exactly what you are covering. That book talks about exactly what you are covering right now. Exactly. Them always getting in the way. And the way his debating style reminds me of this little short joke. Says the slave master got a slave and taught him how to drive, right? And as they was driving down the road, they was coming up on a stop sign. So the slave was confused. He said, "Well, if I stop, he gonna ask me who why'd you stop?" He say, I saw the stop sign. He's like, "Nigga, who taught you how to read?" But if he keep going, he gonna get in an accident. That's exactly his style, and most of these white people's style of debating, even in the government. Man, you when you nail them down, they gonna move on to something, bloviate on something, or they just start talking about something completely different. Man, congratulations for putting these white folk in their place. Congratulations, and I land my plane there.
Okay, champ car for life. You got it, my brother.
What's going on? Happy Thursday. I want to say a big shout out to Kev C, who did a excellent job of cracking the atom and basically getting Charlie Kirk an exposing of who he was, because this guy, was an 18-year-old. When he first got started, he was funded by a bunch of right-wing billionaire people who have for years been used to, to fund some of these people, these white men who got a problem with black people, basically. 'Cause Charlie Kirk was flown around on a private jet plane and everything else. That's how Turning Points got started. Got started by a bunch of rich billionaire white white suspected white supremacists and everything else. And he was basically there to go up there to go to these college campuses and everything else, majority white and everything else, and try to get these people to join their group, and even get some of these naive, self-hating black folks who had a problem with themselves, had a problem with being around black people because they've been picked on by their own people and everything else. That was Charlie Kirk, and that was what he was supposed to be doing. He was supposed to go to these campuses and everything else to try to get them into their movement and everything else. But you never see him wanting to debate somebody within the Nation of Islam. I mean, for 10 years, he was offered by Rizza Islam to debate him, but he avoided him. He avoided Tariq Nasheed. He avoided even some members of the Black Hebrew Israelite nations and everything else. What he was supposed to do was he was supposed to go and get some of these young, impressionable white folks who, despite listening to rap music and everything else, still had an issue with black folks, and had an issue with the fact of our success and everything else, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business and everything else, and try to sit up there and deflect and say, "Oh, it's not white, it's not white supremacy, it's not structural systematic racism. It's you. Look at you guys. You guys on rap, you doing all that, you're rapping, you're doing all these degenerate stuff. You're successful in sports and everything else. What are you all complaining about?" That's what he was supposed to do and everything else. But Kev C did an excellent job, breaking him down and everything else. He couldn't get out of it and everything else. So I'm gonna land my plane. That's what Charlie Kirk was. He was being funded by a bunch of right wing billionaires and everything else.
Okay. Now I'm just gonna say he was just a regular white guy because white people throw money behind any white guy that will publicly hate black men. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a thing in this country where that has to be hidden. That's just something they do on a regular basis. Shout out to Randall who just let us know about some white supremacists going up in towns uninvited, trying to start trouble. They got chased out of there. This is something that white folks do. So my thing is when the question that he did ask, because he was trying to escape KFC, and I'm gonna think that's what he was doing, because truth be told, if that wasn't what he was doing, we'd have been thought a video. He would have been put it up on his channel. Okay. I heard about this discussion a while ago. I'll just say that. I heard about this discussion a while ago, and I've been looking for it. But for some reason, it never gets posted. So I understand that. When you put, as I've said plenty of times, y'all, when you put out edited stuff, they give you exactly what they want you to see. But I don't want to let that question go past about what is black folks' biggest problem. Now, I've come to the conclusion, thinking about this question, it has to be white interference. Because, and y'all do understand, it's never about trying to change the mind of certain people. I think what KFC did was great, because it's not about changing Charlie Kirk's mind. It's about changing minds of people in the audience. Everything is always about the audience. You're not going to change the mind of the person who hosted the thing, but you possibly can change the audience mind if you say something that has enough relevance, or something that's powerful enough to them to help get them on the right track. Or when you poke holes in a person that's supposed to be the big dog, when you can poke holes into their theories, a lot of times people say, well, you know what, let me start thinking for myself, because this person I'm following clearly don't know what they're talking about well enough. So, like I said, I don't know if Charlie Kirk really didn't know what KFC was talking about, because he does that, what he was doing it for a living. He ain't doing it for a living anymore. But before he died, debate people was what he did for a living. So when you go around specifically to debate people, you probably have information. Now, if he didn't have it beforehand, shame on him for being unprepared. And if he did have it beforehand, shame on him for acting like he didn't know it was the truth. So either way, he was bad.
So Roger, there was some stuff that I said he may or may not have known, but there was stuff that I said that I know he knew for a fact. When I asked him about affirmative action and who's the primary beneficiary, he went out of his way not to say white women. He went out, he did everything he could to deflect and get off of that topic. He's like, I gotta say white women, I gotta say white women, because now you got a bunch of white people standing there, good number of them women, and then mostly men. And then now they got to, and my follow up is going to be, yeah, not only does it benefit white women, but white men by default, because they're associated with white women. And then I was going to go into how white men usually use white women, their wives, to get benefits based on affirmative action. And they will get businesses, grants, loans, and a whole bunch of other stuff based on their wife's eligibility. But the wife has nothing to do with it. The wife essentially is the front person. They put up front, but basically it's the man who's running that business with the husband who's actually doing all the work. Like they're using it that way. Now, imagine being in an audience or a group of white people, and they hear that, because there's somebody that's doing that. There's got to be a few people that's literally in that group where there's a husband and wife team doing exactly that. They're like, ooh, they know. Oh my gosh, they
Can
know
I
the
say
skinny.
something? Can I say something about
Right, right,
affirmative?
right.
Can I say something real quick about affirmative action? It was really supposed to be for black people, foundational black Americans. But during the civil rights movement, we included all these other groups. We included, women, gays, trans, other minorities, Hispanics, Asians, etc. But white women especially, and white women, once they really got into the movement and everything, they basically, took the advantage, and it took advantages of everything from affirmative action.
Hold fast, because we don't
Go
want to
ahead.
misrepresent. We don't want to misrepresent anything. They didn't get into a movement. White people had to find a way to stop black men from benefiting from affirmative action. So
And
therefore,
that,
to stop black men, they just included a bunch of other people. It wasn't no
yeah,
people with a movement. That was just white folks said, "How do we stop these niggas and look okay? Well, let's include
exactly.
some other
Yeah, you're
people."
right. They put all these other groups and everything else. If you're going to, and they're the ones that benefited from everything: affirmative action, DEI, and everything else. That's why you got a lot of all these other ethnic groups, who are in higher learning, and everything else, the court system, their judges and everything. That's how they got and took advantage of it, and basically just we were supposed to be we become a permanent underclass as a result of this.
Well, no. The thing is, the intention is for us to be a permanent underclass. It's going to be on us. Are we willing to accept that or not? But see, the issue is, it always comes down to white interference.
Yeah,
You know, when you look at what happened when black men were doing something so affirmative action can get black people as a whole on point by helping out black men. What happened? You had white interference. Okay. Like Black people was saying in this statement on screen, they didn't have no movement. We had a movement.
yeah,
But in order to people try to make sure the public is gonna be good with things, governments always have to worry about public outrage. So how do you stop public outrage and pretend you're gonna help a nigga, but not really help a nigga? Okay, well, we see what y'all got going on. Oh, okay. Well, let's make these changes here and there so it won't really help these niggas. But we'll be able to say we help these niggas. And that's why I've told black people time and time again, where throughout our history of this country has white people ever did anything to help you? They've never done anything they weren't forced to do. They
yeah. I
they
know,
help
and they were
only with
supposed
their
to.
life on the line.
And what it's
Yes.
done too is really hurt the black community as well too. Look what historically black colleges, universities, and everything. Some of them had to shut down because of some of these programs and everything else that they were given to my other groups of minorities and everything else.
What the main issue is that's what I'm saying. Black people's main problem to answer that question that Charlie Kirk himself brought up. What's black people's biggest problem? It's white interference.
Well, yeah,
You
Yes.
can't
To
you can't have nothing without them trying to get involved in it. Go ahead,
yeah,
Casey. I think you're trying to get in.
Yeah, I
my
was
bad.
gonna say,
To follow that point, what white women figured out, lobbied for, and they used black women to do it was to add sex to all of these different movements.
yes,
And once they did that, that got them in the door to get to take all the benefits, which then transferred it back to white men as well.
All right. Now KFC was trying to get in. I was trying to let him in.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no
No,
problem, no
it's
problem.
cool.
Yeah,
It's cool. Go ahead. Go. You good, brother. You good. But go ahead, KFC.
yeah, I was gonna say. So whenever legislation is written, right, it's written in a gender, not so much a gender neutral, but a racially neutral way, right? Now, the thing about it is when you look at the 64 Civil Rights Act and affirmative action programs and even DEI, um, you got to look at the language and look at the program, what it's supposed to do, and then see how it's actually being implemented. See, that's the difference. That's why programs don't work. That's why affirmative action is an abject failure. Because even though it was designed to actually exclusively benefit the black population, black men specifically, when you add minorities to it, when you add women, include them as minorities, and that includes all women, especially white women, and then you start giving them benefits in which they didn't even have any period of suffering the same as black people did, especially black men. So uh, the whole point of that, by watering it down or diminishing the language, is to make sure that black people primarily do not benefit. They'll let you get some of it, 3 to 4%, but basically the majority of it has to go to other people. And I don't want to get on our Ivy League brother too much. Or maybe it wasn't him who said it, but somebody said we give white people too much interest or we give them too much attention. Look, it's not about giving them attention. It's not about even seeking validation or any of that. It's look, the country is set up to make sure that they have control, power, authority, and influence over everybody else. And I'll try to explain this in a statement from the late great Stokely Carmichael. He said, "Look, if the white man hates me, I don't care. That's his problem. It doesn't affect me at all. But if he hates me and he has the power to harm me with programs, laws, legislations, policies, and everything else, and underhanded dealings, now he's making it my problem and I got to deal with that." See, you can hate me all day long, but if you're in a position of power and authority, especially at the government level, state and federal, even local, and you have this anti-black bias, and vitriol towards me, now you're in a position to come up with policies and programs and laws and legislation and everything else that could actually, inhibit my life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, civil rights, and equality, and all this other stuff and equity that I'm supposed to receive as a citizen. That's the issue. It's not about appeasing them, trying to please them, or giving them attention and none of this other stuff. It's that we got to deal with this. If you don't shut it down, then it's allowed to continue, and you're going to be on the suffering end of it.
All
I'll
right.
go ahead and leave right there.
Now I'm gonna say one thing too, y'all, especially for Black people. Y'all really need to get this one. You have a right to life, liberty, and property. That pursuit of happiness was switched up to fool people because it's an undefinable thing. Property is definable. Okay, go after life, liberty, and property. Okay, and that's something every Black person should get close to their heart. Get it in your heart, man. Life, liberty, and property is what you want. Okay, you want to be able to live your life. You want liberty just like anybody else has liberty to move about the country, and you want property. If you want to pursue some happiness, knock yourself out. But who cares? Property matters. Your happiness doesn't. Okay, your happiness only matters to you personally. It doesn't matter anybody else. Property can make a difference to a whole lot of people. Okay, so let me just throw that out there. Now, again, I'm gonna say it's always been about white interference because see, the civil rights movement was started off as a good thing that could help Black men be in the position they should be in and stop having people do certain things to Black men. But because of white interference, it didn't turn out to be that way. Now, Black men have went to build cities, not to bother anybody else, so they can house themselves, house their wives, house their children. A lot of them cities were attacked. Yeah, and this is something a lot of Black folks don't know. Hundreds of cities that Black men built have been attacked, either burned down, bombed, or flooded. You could still pull up old city names and see where on the map the city used to be. But white people got rid of it. So we can say a lot of things are how you feel about something, but the biggest problem Black people have had in America is white interference. Because the thing is, I don't have to beg to be a part of your thing. I'll go build my own thing. But if I go build my own thing, you attack my thing. So honestly, we have to accept white people want us to be dependent on them. That's what their issue is. They want us to be dependent on them. And they don't like nan nigga who's willing to do something for himself. And that's why you have the perceptions and things that go on, the stuff that you see in mass media. If you really truly think about problems that I presented, they have issues with Black men who are willing to do for self. A lot of folks don't get that. That's why Cosby got pursued in his old age. We can't let that nigga die clean. We don't have nothing on that nigga. Now, and some of y'all are dumb enough to believe that Cosby actually did something wrong in the time frame that they said he did something wrong in, which was an extremely racist time period. With all the stuff Cosby knew, why would he be doing a bunch of wrong stuff with people when he used to teach Black people about Black excellence himself? He was not an unaware Negro. But a lot of Black people, because you do believe white people so much, y'all say, oh, this nigga must have did something. The time they accused him of doing something wasn't even safe to be trying to do this stuff in at that particular point. Bill Cosby was not some great, powerful man in Hollywood back in those days. He was just Bill Cosby. He was an actor. He was in Hollywood, but he wasn't ruling with no power like that. That wasn't his time. Y'all remember Cosby from the Cosby Show. A lot of people forget that's what he did later on. Cosby did a whole bunch of stuff before the Cosby Show ever came up. He wasn't wielding no power like that, especially the power to go mess with random white women too. That was normally a thing that was immediately gonna get you dead back in the day. When a white woman had a problem with you and she's claimed you touched on her, they was very willing to kill you. Very willing. you know. But we rather believe what white people tell us instead of the stuff that we actually see. You know, that's why white people, and if it was with our stuff so much, okay, why, what do y'all think? Why y'all think they opened up the doors to black women to get government benefits? It was to interfere with the black family. That's literally what it was for. They didn't care. Y'all really think they wanted to make sure black women had something to eat? Y'all really think they wanted black children to have something to eat? No, they didn't. Even school programs about eating breakfast, that stuff got started by the Black Panthers. And the only reason white folks did it because they wouldn't let them niggas show them up. Now, think about it. The American government saw the Black Panthers start feeding children because of economic depression that they caused. And in order to not let the Black Panthers, who they were against, look better than them, they said, well, you know what? We're going to start our own programs. They ain't never cared about no nigga kids. Think about that. When they care about some nigga kids.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the basis of the free lunch program. That's where it comes from. The Black Panther Party's 10-point program. They had a clothing program. They had a medical and health program. They had the food program. They had an education program for young black children. There was a lot of things that they were doing, and of course the government took some of that while at the same time they were attacking the organization, creating strife, chaos, and dysfunction, and trying to turn everybody against each other. So there's a lot going on there, but yeah, that's where that comes out of. Now, as it relates to the topic, Roger, you say white interference. So this is the problem. So when you debate white people, you talk to them about this, right? And black people say, hey, look, just stay out of our way. Just stop putting obstacles in our way. It's not me. I'm not doing that. You're gonna always get that because and this is what I generally hear when I have these conversations. You guys know I talk to people outside of I try to do it on a mixed panel. Usually black people, some white people, maybe some men and women and stuff like that. But almost every time and without fail, the white person or the non-black person will literally individualize it and go, well, it's not me. I had nothing to do with this. So why are you mad? We know it's not you. We're not trying to individualize it towards you, which is another problem that you guys have as white people as a collective. It's systems. It's usually related at the city level, the state level, and the government level, right? At the federal level, all of that stuff. So it's usually systems. So people they remove themselves by saying, "Well, it's not me personally," right? And that's not I mean, yeah, that's good for you, and it gets you out of really having to do anything. But the thing is that doesn't remove those systems. And when you look at any black problem, right, anywhere from crime to education to healthcare to economic deprivation, economic opportunities, even anywhere as it relates to quality of life, all roads lead back to some policy, program, legislation, or unfair practice that has some nebulous existence in the government or something that somebody has done, and it's going to always refer back to white people, which is why they're going to have a problem actually getting away from this. See, their thing is, it's not our fault. You guys just want to blame, or black people just want to blame white people for all their issues and problems without taking accountability. But in order to do that, you got to get out of the way. Right, but you got to frame it in a way that blames the people and the people only, your victims and your victims only, and then that leaves you free and clear to continue doing what it is you're doing without having to accept any responsibility or change anything or take any account for your part in the process.
But we spend too much time. We spend too much time trying to reason with them about the policy. It's just better to just change the policy. Because, like, even with the interaction, right, at the end, he pivoted and he said, wouldn't you agree, right? So at the end of the day, right, it looks as if, like, okay, you're agreeing that, yeah, one of the biggest problems that Black America has is a baby making problem. But it's the furthest from the truth. But the thing about it is we need to stop. I feel, it's just my personal opinion, is that we, like, these times of talking with them and negotiating, it's just a waste of time, right? We could be putting more effort in changing the policies, scavenger hunting to see where these problems and economic policies are hurting us, and then start making these changes through our universities, through our think tanks, or creating think tanks and things like that, and start funding lobbyists to start moving and extracting these policies or these titles that are hurting us. For example, Title IX and affirmative action or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, right? Because I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be the wet napkin in a room, but at the end of the day, right? Like you end up agreeing with him at the
Yeah,
end.
and you know what? I saw that towards the end. Well, so because I was up there for almost 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's time to go, and he's trying to get rid of me, and I realized that because I could have stood up there for an hour and really kind of tore him apart. But they were only gonna limit me to a certain amount of time. Plus, I had to be considerate of other people because it took me just a couple hours, a little more than a couple hours to get up there in the first place.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
yeah. Yeah. So, but I agree with you. You're right. So it's not just the universities and think tanks. It's also, well, you call them think tanks, but they're essentially there's an official name for them. But yeah, the think tanks, right? But it's
Yeah.
also in politics. That's where you make a lot of. That's where the legislation
Well,
comes out.
that's what I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah.
we have our version of the Brookings Institutes.
Yeah.
We have our version of the Callaway Institute.
Yeah.
And then we have our version of Water Street. And for those who don't know, Water Street is where all the lobbyists are, right? We have our version of that. They go in there and start examining and removing policies, right? We have a great law school called Howard that should be doing this shit.
I would agree with you. Now here's the other thing too, and we got to. This is where we do have to admit that there's a problem within the group. Is that you have collaborators who are in those positions to do everything they can to block everything you just talked about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now I'm gonna say what Kev did with Charlie Kirk, I'm gonna say is absolutely necessary because when I research how things change, the one of the main things you have to do to not get your head taken off is to gain public acceptance. So there should be people doing exactly what you're talking about from a political standpoint, but there's also got to be people who are willing to go challenge a narrative. They're both just as necessary because
No, I
I'm
disagree.
gonna say without public acceptance, you could get revolting.
Well, no, because that's just simply not true. Because we look at people who fought the narrative. Look at Malcolm X. You look at David Abernathy. You look at Malcolm X. You look at Martin Luther King. Right? Shit's still the same. Shit is still the same.
Well, I'm gonna say from a public perception, people will say, "Well, no, a lot of progress was made because of those people." Publicly, the perception is plenty has changed.
No, it hasn't. Statistically,
No, I'm not arguing whether something changed or not. I'm saying the public perception is
but I mean, but the point is, it's just that first of all, those people were murdered, right? Second of all, nothing actually changed, and then when people actually believed in a post-racial America because of Martin Luther King, then you have a half-breed Obama who gets disrespected by his wife every night. After that, you see this.
So and there's no revolt. So my thing is
Trump is the revolt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can rock with you there somewhat, but I'm talking about from the people, not people in government positions. There has been no revolt of the people.
Well, I mean,
because you're able to get the people to accept certain things.
No, but
I'm gonna go ahead and let you say what you're gonna say, but I'm gonna get Inspired Truth broadcast.
Yeah, I'll disagree, but the people that voted for Trump is their way of revolting, and there's their way of revolting, and you see what's happening, ICE and all this crazy shit happening right now. Even now, people can reject people for the service based on the color of their skin and all this extra shit, right? Them voting for Trump was their silent revolt.
Okay, and what I'm saying, revolt in favor of us that we can be treated just like any other citizen. There's been nothing there where people have revolted to say, hey, those niggas shouldn't be seen as niggas anymore. They should be seen as regular people just like we are. You ain't had nobody revolt in that direction. This country has always hated black men.
Right. It
America
still
wasn't
do.
even developed in 1776 the way we know it. So this country has always been anti-black man. And I'm
Right.
saying there has been no revolt and in order to say, well, black men should be treated fairly too. Nobody's doing that. And the reason
Right.
they do all the show pony stuff is so no one will. That's what. So not necessarily disagreeing with you. And I was finna give it to Inspired Truth Broadcast, but looks like Black Uru is actually coming up. So I'm gonna give him the mic immediately. Then you got Inspired Truth Broadcast, and y'all may want to say something, but y'all hold on and let Inspired Truth Broadcast get in after Black Uru. Go ahead, Elder. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, Roger? I hope you're doing well. I hope I'm coming in clear.
Yes, sir.
You know, a war is fought on many fronts, and what tools you have in a war, or what you do in a war, is going to be a function of the availability of the tools you have, how efficiently, what your logistics are, and the utilization of those tools. And some phases of a war are more offensive, you know. Some are more defensive. Some even become mere survival, you know. And much of the history of the country has been set up where, in the war analogy, you know, for the most part, black people have been kind of fighting at a survival level to a large extent. Someone mentioned the wholesale destruction of all of the towns, the many dozens of towns, maybe hundreds of towns, started by black people. You know, after emancipation, almost all of these towns are gone, and they weren't because black people just abandoned them. They were because they were destroyed. People were lynched. They were Tulsa was firebombed out of the sky. I mean, airplanes had only been mass produced for a decade or so prior to that, and they were using them to firebomb the most prosperous black town in the country. So I think let's be honest and complete about our analysis of our situation here. You know, it's been a it's been a unique experience here for black people. You can't really analogize it to much of anything else. I mean, you can take bits and pieces of other things and other groups of people who've had struggles. Obviously, Native Americans, although I guess as we're learning, hell, the Native Americans apparently were black people. You know? So I mean, it's just it, I'm very cautious about judging the past action and the past decision making of black people, because I am hard pressed to think of any group of people who have had to deal with what they've had to do. And I would hope that as we do our Monday morning quarterbacking, we look at the whole landscape of things and the time on the clock and the field position and those kinds of things as we judge the decisions of our ancestors.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I'm gonna give it to Inspired Truth Broadcast, but I got to get the mic right behind him for a quick announcement. Go ahead, Inspired Truth.
All right. First off, am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to try to do this as fast as I possibly can so I can cover the ground that I need to cover. There's always merit in actually responding to and combating and fighting hugely destructive lies. That's the first thing I want to the key point that I want to put forward. The second thing here is when they say that, oh, it wasn't me, oh, that was in the past, what they're actually saying here is that they don't want to do corrective action because it's going to cost something. And we don't accept that or tolerate that when we're talking about companies. If a company goes and poisons the well and does some damage to a town, we don't say, oh, well, your CEO is different now. oh, well, you have different employees now. Oh, it doesn't matter now because you have these new policies and now there's this new regime in. No, they're whether it's a government entity or a corporate entity, we hold that responsible as an entity. That's what I was trying to. So that's one of the things that we need to combat. Like it's not just the lies themselves, but it's also the tactics that they use, that they keep on using as rhetorical devices to not make actual progress. And I'll land my plane there.
I'm gonna say well stated, and I just want to say before anybody else says something, shout out to my main man Tunnel Runner. I forgot to say this yesterday. Tunnel Runner hit me with $10.57 Cash App for being Highlander of the stream yesterday, and I forgot to say it. I don't know how I did it, but I didn't actually say it on air. But shout out to Tunnel Runner, who was the Highlander of the stream yesterday, and he hit me with Cash App for that. He said the Highlander eating good. Excuse me, the Highlander eating good today. Tunnel Run, and I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. I also have a Cash App that came in yesterday. You know, it was in the afternoon. I'm gonna say Jason M. I'm gonna say that because I'm not sure if I seen his name in the actual chat, and if I don't see your names in the chat, I don't want to say people's last name. But I'm gonna say Jason M. It's I'm just not 100% sure. I think his name may have been in the chat, but I'm just not 100% sure right now. He dropped $20 yesterday on the Cash App. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, y'all. The Roger Report Live Cash App is always active. You can do it anytime you want to. So he dropped this at 5 p.m. $20 said for consistently great content. And I do appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that big time. Real talk. So shout out to you, brother. Thank you very much. And shout out to There I Said It, who just sent something in. And he just says salute, and he drops $5 on the Cash App. So shout out to There I Said It. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. Okay, the floor is open. Who gonna grab the mic first?
So while we're having this discussion, there needs to be really more discussion about the way forward, right? And how to interdict all of this interference. It seems very simple to me, but in a lot of ways, it's complicated in the sense that the first people that have to get out of the way are the collaborators, right? That's the first group that has. I'm not saying take them out. I'm just saying they got to get up out the paint. All right, they have to be identified, acknowledged, shamed, ostracized, and removed from their positions. And then we have to put intelligent people in positions that actually, especially in those positions of power and authority. And then it needs to have, we need to have our own curriculum to actually educate Black people. Now, I'm not concerned about whether or not anybody else gets educated on it, because they're going to have their thoughts and ideas and what it is they think they know versus what's actually reality. But one of the other issues I see is that I had to, for all the stuff that I know and the things that I can, debunk and repel and provide an immediate counterpoint, I had to learn a lot on my own. Right? It's not gonna be out there. It's all out there. It's available, but it's not readily available. It actually should be part of your curriculum as you are as young folks are coming up. Like this starts in kindergarten. So by the time you get to 18, you're already well versed in anything and everything that's going on, what the real issues are, how it started, where it comes from, and what the solutions are. Like you're already working towards that. So in the next 20, 30 years or so, and I would say less, you actually get to those solutions versus, okay, because what I see a lot of is if you talk to 10 Black people, there's going to be 2 that know what it is we're talking about, and 8 of them are going to have like some idea, and there's going to be another few that have some idea, and then there's going to be 5 or 6 that have no clue. And that's not to say they're ignorant or stupid, they just don't know. Those are some limiting factors that I see when I'm doing an analysis on this. I'll go ahead and land right there.
But and I'm gonna say yeah, a lot of stuff does start with us, but that doesn't excuse other people for what they did wrong. I'm gonna say Black folks have to make an effort to make sure your kids don't grow up to be white supremacists, because that's the goal of the country. It doesn't make a difference how you feel about it. The goal of the country is to make every person here a white supremacist. Now, can they make a foreigner a white supremacist? Yes, there's been foreigners influenced enough to become white supremacists that live in this country too. So it is silly to think that your child comes from this country and will not be taught to be a white supremacist. So first of all, start with your kids, okay, and start with yourself. If white people are offering it to you, you should be looking at it like, what's the catch? You got to always ask what's the catch if they're gonna offer it to you free. Because nothing in a capitalist society is truly free. Somebody's paying for it. So you should always have a side eye. There's always a reason someone will give you something for free. It could be a good reason, but a lot of times it can be a negative reason. It's good to go to a restaurant and somebody give you a free sample, but they only gave you that free sample to entice you to come spend money. That's just the way it works. That don't change with education. That don't change with media viewpoints, and even the black people trying to help. I'm gonna tell you straight up, and this is something a lot of black folks don't consider. Even black folks on social media, most of them white supremacists too. Even when they trying to quote unquote help black people, I've met a lot of white supremacists amongst people who call themselves pro-black. A lot of them. That's real talk. Collectively, based on what I've been able to see, I think people who call themselves pro-black are just white supremacists. They just found a more comfortable way to be one. So you do have to really pay attention to stuff. But Brad has just come up. So let me go ahead and let Brad get a opening statement. Brad, you got it. Brad, you still on mute.
Oh shit, my bad, Roger.
You
Okay.
got to come in cursing, brother.
Oh god. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. You drop an interesting line at the end that the goal of this country is to like make sure that like you end up being a white supremacist. And this is the thing that as black people we need to understand. We are always going to be under the mind that if a white person does good by us, what is the end goal? We always think that everything is being done to us due to a media programming, and it's not a healthy way to live life as black people. I think most of us, if not all of us, should just segregate ourselves completely, build our own communities, and not have anything to do with anybody but ourselves, and deal with the internal problems that we face and take them head on. Because it is not healthy to live in a multicultural society where people that don't look like you are fundamentally different than you and don't have your best interests at heart. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say I literally just got through saying that black folks went out and built hundreds of cities and white people attacked them. I literally just got through saying that.
But that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, though.
You think it's different now, huh?
Well. I haven't seen on the news where a non-black person has come to a historically black town as of recently and shut up the whole block. Like, let's be honest.
No, that they shoot themselves up. I'll give you credit. Usually, if you see it on the news, they're shooting themselves up. They do it in malls and schools. That's usually what the news will broadcast. But you do have to understand, the news is also controlled too, because there's people who own the news who have agendas. You know what I'm saying? So when those stories come out, they are usually shooting up themselves. But I mean, everybody should have an understanding that they're very violent people. But if you pay attention to the news, you wouldn't get that understanding. The thing is I'm gonna say realistically, it's not healthy to give a bunch of random white people benefit of the doubt. It's literally not healthy. You literally could die from giving random white people benefit of the doubt. You need to check out what they own on all levels. Just real talk. Now, if I'm gonna give somebody benefit of the doubt who's white, I'm gonna say shout out to Randall. I could give him possibly some benefit of the doubt. Maybe I sit down and eat a meal with him. You know what I'm saying? Because he seemed to rock with us. But a random white person I don't know nothing about, yeah, ain't no benefit. I ain't got no benefit of doubt for you. I know what your people do as a group. I don't know what you as an individual, but as a group, your people kill, steal, and destroy. That's what you're known for. That's what your history shows. Even the gods you worship sound like crazy people. You know, they do all kinds of stuff. So I ain't got no benefit of doubt for them. I need to see what they own if I'm going to accept them in any level. But we do have usual business who's just come up, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. You got it, my brother.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm just gonna say a few words, and I gotta go back to studying. I got some business to handle, so I'm gonna keep it quick. Um, I like what everybody else is saying, but I'm just gonna kind of give some clarification to I think what Brandon was saying in a sense like this, right? Um, I understand what you're saying, and by principle, if you were dealing with normal groups of people, then this would be an achievable reality. But the problem I think what people are misunderstanding is culture. Culture defines how you even look at the world. If your culture is backwards, then you look at the world backwards. If you look at your culture is science is the way we look at it, then you look at everything through a scientific lens. If your culture is spiritual, then you look at things through an esoteric or a spiritual lens, right? These people look through the lens of white supremacy, which is then said, if I cannot dominate those people that don't look like me, right, and I can't control their resources and do whatever I so choose to them necessarily, right, you can't be friends with something like that. That is an entity by culture, but the cultural values that they quote unquote have are incompatible with your own, right? So for those, he says, yeah, my bad, bro. I'll say something. I'll say something later about it. But yeah, damn, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, their cultural lens of how they look through things. That just defines who you are and what you will be.
Good point. Really good point.
Yeah.
So I was going to simply say this pretty much like when it comes to dealing with white people, you really got to almost have what is it called? It's like a baby monitor for white people, because you really got to. I'm for real, like in the sense that you got to have a baby monitor to quote unquote what these white people are doing, right? And that's the problem I think we have as Black American people, right? You don't believe in that because you don't believe in power. I'm gonna say that again. Black people do not believe in power. White people believe that they should have power and they should use it to do whatever and create the world that they see fit for themselves, right?
Amen.
So for me personally, if me, just saying, I'm part. I got you can consider me part of the. I'm doing my part because I'm in Africa, right? So I got the baby monitors in every place that I go to. I got baby monitors in the Caribbean. I got baby monitors in South America. I got baby monitors in Africa, right? Because I always want to know what's going on around me. That closed minded mentality is not gonna quote unquote help you, especially when you living in a globalized society. Right now, I'm watching videos, literally, right? I'm watching dudes necessarily get on the plane. 10 hours later, he dating one of the baddest Vietnamese women on the planet. That's the world you actively living in. So instead of having a mentality of I'm just gonna be by myself, quote unquote, you can't even manage it by yourself, right? So the thing is, you need to be looking at who's a proper ally, who can be used as a quote unquote, I hate to say it like this, a pawn against your enemies, and what else I'm about to say, and make proper allies necessary to help you move in this world, because you're not gonna live in this world by yourself, but you damn sure will die in this world by yourself. So you best to necessarily learn how to move. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
It's a little low.
All right,
But
hold on.
we hear you.
Give me a second. I'm take this thing out.
Oh shoot, he's gone. All right, I had something to pick up on that because he made a good point there. Like the isolationism is not going to work. That's not going to get us anywhere good. It's just going to make us more messed up. Like the bigger, broader economy, we contributed to that. We got to get our piece of the pie out of this. And being starved out of that doesn't do anything particularly good for us. Never has.
Well, what we really need is that reparations, though. We're owed reparations for what we've done, in building this country and everything else. So
Well,
we're promised 40 acres and a mule and everything.
I mean, yeah, I get all of that,
that.
but the thing bigger than that, the immediate 10-meter target in front of you is any policy, practice, law, or anything that is inhibitive. Then you got to get rid of that. It has to go. Again,
Yeah.
because so I think somebody said, nobody's running through black towns and tearing them up anymore. Well, because you can't do that now, right? There's too much social media. So now you do it through policies. Now you do it through covert actions. Now you do it through dumping drugs and into certain neighborhoods. Now you do it through coming up with a program called affirmative action and giving it to everybody else while putting a black
Or
face on it.
redlining.
See, now you do it through by I don't know, some underhanded cabal or secret cabal that says, look, I know you corporations have jobs available, just make sure you don't hire black men. Now you do it by attacking a fund that a black women created, taking them to court and saying, well, y'all didn't include white women, so now it's racist against white women. See, that's how you do it today, right? The 60s and earlier, you could run through a town, no problem. You could burn it to the ground. You could throw bombs on it, do a whole bunch of other stuff. There's no issue with that because that was open, hardcore, stomp down in your face racism and domestic terrorism. Can't do that now. What is it? The optics. I'll just call it the optics of it is not going to play well nationally or on a international stage. So now you have to do it in other ways. That's the stuff that you have to attack. Those are that's the issue and things you got to get at. You got to be smart about that, and you got to see it coming from a mile away so you can interdict it at every point.
Okay, I
Now,
say
so
one
you're
thing
talking
about
about
that,
over
man.
versus covert action. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was basically gonna say like, I think that the problem is necessarily right. We got to be good at playing 2D chess. I don't want to say 3D chess necessarily or playing Go. Right, you got to understand how to play one person off another person. Right, okay, cool. You ain't got to do what I need you to, but China will.
That
You ain't got to do what I need you to. Russia will. You ain't got to do what I need you to do. Nigeria will give me what I need to do. Brazil will give me what I need to do. And you play them off the two ends necessarily, right? And that's how you truly necessarily have and carve out some power for yourself. But like I said, since black men as a whole, do not study power. They do not keep power as their guiding principle. They keep pussy and a variety of other things as their guiding principle. Then you never gonna have the ability to quote unquote shape the world as you so needed to, right? You basically a man with no arms, and a man with no arms can't dictate nothing.
Well, the thing is, a lot of black men listen to the priorities of their black mama. Where do they black mama get their priorities from? White men. That's just how it goes when you get real about it. And I'm gonna say, when it comes down to it, the same stuff is done, but white people at this point rather have it look like it was a black person idea. So yeah, they won't quote unquote run through your town as KFC was saying, but they will have your town run through in a way, but they want to make it look like a black person came up with the idea. They do the same stuff as you were saying. It's just they go about it in a different way, a different form, a different fashion. And that's why somebody like a Charlie Kirk can make so much money so quickly because he openly displayed hatred toward black men. And people funded that. Why? Because they agree with it. Because think about it, y'all. When people say a black man did something wrong, what do they usually do? They go after the sponsor saying, "Hey, you agree with it?" The sponsor can be like, "No, we don't agree with that. We didn't even know he was gonna say nothing like that." Yeah, but you giving them money though. You giving them money, but you don't see that as an issue when somebody hates black men. That never really comes up. I don't even know if you can come up with one example where somebody openly hated black men and somebody went after their sponsorship. I really don't believe you can come up with one example. Wow. And that should say a lot to everybody. But y'all, Shark Sims is now coming up, so let me go ahead and give him the mic right now.
Yo, deadass, that's the quickest I ever got called up on here, Roger. That's crazy.
I told you I'm trying to get everybody in much better nowadays. I'm trying to get everybody in much better. So if y'all ain't ready to talk, don't hit the link.
Crazy. Good looking out though. To answer the question, what is black people's biggest problem? I gotta go with what Hot Sauce was saying earlier. I think we're our biggest problem because we keep trying to get people that we know don't like us to like us.
Amen.
Instead of getting ourselves to like us. Why don't we have a person like Charlie Kirk going to all the HSBCUs trying to change their minds on the dumb things that they're thinking about? And challenging them on the stats that they're thinking about and they're being taught. So when they come out, they're more sharper as a black people, as African American people. The second thing is Charlie Kirk is. I heard Roger say Charlie Kirk is a regular person. I ain't never heard y'all talk about a regular white man as much as y'all talk about him. So he got to be special, and we making him special. And but the second problem I see is it's the it's the black people that it's the foreign black people that they brought in to undermine us, because we didn't. I don't know why we didn't see it coming, and I don't know why we didn't understand that they was different
We
from us,
did.
but we did, and they just undermined us, and to this day they still do it to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Probably out of 10 to 20% of them, the rest of them don't really mess with us, but we swear they met. We swear they mess with us. You know what I mean? I always tell my homies, I said, "You're not black," and they be like, "Why you say that?" I said, "Because when the Labor Day parade come around, all y'all niggas is over there with Panamanian flags, with Haitian flags. I ain't never seen y'all running an American flag. Me and my black people, the only flag we could fly is an American flag." And that's our problems. We just gotta stop giving everybody else more attention than we give ourselves. And I land my plane on that.
Okay, I'm gonna correct you on a small amount of
You
things,
know,
right? Uh,
when the immigration law was passed in 1965, there were 5 black men in the United States Congress. Period. 5. Even if it were the priority of black people to blunt or to modify or to eradicate the immigration policy of this country, they had zero political capacity to do so. Now, this was passed during a time when black people were still being lynched and couldn't vote, and our leaders being killed, and Medgar Evers being shot in his driveway. I think brothers and sisters were a little bit distracted by then. Again, that's why I said earlier, you know, we kind of shoot our mouths off 50, 60, 70 years later, man. All out of context of what was really going on back then. All out of context of.
Black Root, can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
Now, I heard one of the other men say, I think it was Shark. I just want to make sure, right? We actually do have our thing. The problem is we don't do the internal work, right? And then also add in the fact, because let's type in the Black American Heritage flag. It literally pops up as black, red, and gold, necessarily brief with a sword going through the middle of it. But like, how many people actually fly that flag? Like, I mean, I fly in this still when I'm going out to certain places, right? And certain groups of places, we fly it out there in TikTok and whatever, right? But that's in those areas and whatever, right? They got like a couple of music videos what is in there, but you don't really see it. And then if you also look at what is it? I don't know that the dude that made Powernomics, right? The dude who made Powernomics, he did basically say, if you quote unquote let all these people in, right, and their problems gonna be your problems over your problems, and then you're pretty much gonna be screwed. And just like he said, that in that order, they came in, they prioritized their survival over yours, and yours became third or fourth on the list.
But did you hear what I said though? I mean, I have the highest regard for Dr. Anderson, but how were black people going to stop that immigration law? This was in 1965, in the heat and the heart of the civil rights movement, where again, you know, it was people were still being lynched, brother. Folks could hardly even still vote in most of the country, especially in the South.
What year was King killed?
So what's the context in 3 years after, in 68? Exactly. You know, you had a president killed a few years before that. You know, so you know, again, you know, it's one thing to kind of cherry pick what we did or didn't do, but again, what's the context in which things were happening? What's the actual world in which things were happening? You know, if you had a third or more of the black, hold on now. If you had a third, well, most black people were in the South in the 60s, still are. That most folks don't even know that, but most folks are in the South. So if most of the black people are in the South, and a significant percentage of them people are being killed because they want to vote, You know, what influence are you having over national or international immigration policy when you
I
can
wanna
hardly
say
even
something.
vote?
I want to say something if I could. This is Casper, right? So, please don't call.
My bad, Casper.
Thank you. So, listen, I appreciate the civil rights, but I think I'm talking more about now, not really about what has been done in the past. Things that we have to do now, because at the end of the day, if we all agree that Casper is in my grits, and that is the biggest thing facing black America today, then we gotta do things a little bit differently. We gotta do things a little bit more strategically and more covertly. And and what I'm saying is that and no disrespect to Kevin C, thank you for going out there fighting a good fight. But I mean, man, like just waiting hours for just to talk to some cracker, man.
Exactly.
That is I don't know, man. It ain't gonna be me, man. Unless that nigga is Kobe Bryant reincarnated, you ain't catching me waiting nowhere for nobody for nothing. Like, yeah, I mean, unless it's LeBron James' mom, like getting nice with me. But other than that, no.
Well,
Shout out to LeBron.
well, I do want y'all to remember when things like this go down, they are always for the audience sake. I don't do this show for my sake. Folks that's joining the panel with me, I can't even technically say I'm doing it for your sake. It's always going to be about the audience sake, and there's always young people that need to hear stuff. So I'm gonna say things have to be done. Media has a big influence on politics.
And respect to Kevin C, man. Like, you're definitely the guy to fight the good fight. Because audience, I do not care about you that much to be waiting hours to talk to someone.
So here's the other thing too. While I was actually waiting, I was talking to a bunch of other black people.
Yeah.
Most black people that I talked to, mostly the men and some of the women, they were actually scared to go up there. They were scared to go up there. And when they did go up there and talk to them, the few who did, they were they just didn't have the life experience or the information behind them. And he was able to dispatch them quicker, a lot quicker, right? He had to redirect me and get me off my topic and kind of, I was like, okay, so he ain't gonna admit to what it is I'm trying to say here, or what I'm trying to get him to. So I'll let him go ahead and have a little bit of latitude here. Which, and we talked about this earlier, and I think it was Uru that got on me a little bit. He said, "Look, you were just too nice to him," and I was. And you know what? And I said, you know what? Next time I face him, I'm gonna go in hot, and now I won't even get that chance. So that's a life lesson learned right there.
But he's nothing. I mean, this nigga ain't nothing special.
It's not about that. It's about informing other people. Yeah, it's about
him.
He
was
one of the most important. He was one of the biggest reasons that Donald Trump got elected president. He was one of the biggest reasons Donald Trump got elected president. How can you say he wasn't important?
I understand that. Well, I mean, I said that in the beginning. Donald Trump got elected because of Obama, right? That is white people doing a silent revolt because they felt they lost their country. That's why Donald Trump won, right? And secondly, they be damned if they're gonna have another non-white person as sitting in the top spot. No way, no how Carmella was gonna win that. No way, no how. Especially talking about your kids can have change like gender changes without parents' consent. No way, no how that was gonna fly with middle America. So I mean I get that, but my issue is this, right? When we look at, because I mean he could be anybody. He could be anybody, any white dude that's going to talk about these points going around college campuses, right? Because there's a bunch of them. There's another guy on YouTube does the same thing. I'm not going to mention his name to respect the policy of this podcast. But there's another white dude that does the exact same stuff that he does. Goes around college campuses debating about, especially debating about affirmative action, right? And this is actually we're gonna see another one soon, right? Shapiro, right, is another one, right? Candace Owens used to be the same, right? I mean, there's never going to be they're a dime a dozen. That's what I'm saying. They're a dime a dozen. And the thing about it is, I think we need to kind of rethink our strategy and start fighting where the war is won. Because I don't think the war is won in public opinion. I don't agree.
You know,
half and half. I think
hot
so.
sauce. Hey, can I say something real quick? You raised an excellent point about what you just said just a moment ago. But I would also determine that another reason why this issue with the rise of Trump didn't go back 30 years ago when we were going to be celebrating tomorrow and O.J. Simpson got acquitted.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
No,
whoa, whoa.
that's other.
No,
That's
no,
just a
no.
small factor.
Chant. Even though we do it tomorrow, y'all understand the rule is anything said backstage, we leave backstage. I'm not saying that was a crime or what you just did, but it's about the point. If we say it backstage, we do not make it public. Now, I say we was going to do that backstage. I need you to make that public, brother. So
Okay.
you ain't
But there were
technically
other
doing that
factors.
wrong.
Like,
bro.
But I'm
there was
jumping
other
on.
factors. Listen, there was.
Real quick. I'm jumping on folks for the small things because I don't want nothing to happen with the big things. Point blank period. If we say it, don't mention it on air. Period. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's. I made an example. I'm gonna use it again. I said if Black Hoover said he used a blue cup to drink his coffee, as small as that is, you don't release it to the public. Period. I don't care what it is.
But
I'll
there
go
were
ahead.
other.
Second time, bro.
Okay, but there was other factors that was happening though too. You had the influx of immigration that was the cause of it. You had other things, where the rise of the black population and other minority groups and everything else. That frightened a lot of white folks, to this day when they saw that once the civil rights movement was in it. Yeah, we didn't benefit, from affirmative action and all that, but all these other immigrant groups were, and many people in middle America didn't say, hey, look, we're seeing the browning of America and everything else, and we can't see that happen. Now, unfortunately, you have immigrants, who are undermining us black folks today and everything else. They want to cosplay with and everything else and become a mouthpiece of white supremacists and everything else. But, pretty soon, the Candace Owens of the world, in the next 5 or 10 years, you're not going to hear from her. You're barely going to hear from her in the next 5 or 10 years when she's going to get, when she's going to lose all her funding and everything else, and she's going to try to crawl back to the black community.
I think she's gonna call back to the white community if anything. But when it comes down
She's
to
going to know. Hey, Rod. She's been trying to crawl back to the black community. She noticed. She was sitting up there going up on the Breakfast Club last year.
bro, she got a white husband. At the end of the day, she ain't gonna do nothing that a white man ain't gonna approve of.
Exactly, bro. Like she got a whole white husband in Congress, bro.
Well, you got these. I don't know. I know you don't like this term, Roger, but you got these so-called pro-black spoilers that are trying to get back in good grace with the black community, even to some
those are
extent,
just
branded officers. Even to some extent, this guy named Officer, I'm not going to say his last name, Officer.
We don't even care, but you get to the point, bro.
YouTube. Go ahead.
No, I mean you kind of went off on a tangent a little bit, bro, because like he went to divestments and whatever. Like those people we don't even care about. Like their very existence don't even matter to me, bro. If you're talking about building a community, these people I've already. I'm just going off of mathematics and what you need. Like you need wood, you need nails or whatever, right? Those people already took themselves out of the running, so you're not even using those people. So I don't know why you even brought those up, but I mean I was trying to say just keep on topic for what the conversation is about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because once you as a woman elect to be with a white man, at the end of the day, you can't really help with anything that's from a black community standpoint. Your white husband has to believe in the black community and want to help the black community for you to even do anything for real. So, and most white husbands are not going to be those people, which means those people have basically no real importance to us, just whatsoever. They just why even pay attention to what they're talking about? Now, is that going to be every single black woman with a white husband? No, but the vast majority, that's going to be the case because it's just natural for a white man to look out for himself and his people. That's not. It is a natural thing. It's just white folks go a little further because instead of just being pro their group, they start trying to destroy other groups. You know.
You don't have
Yeah, there's this.
Officer Tate. You have Officer
No,
Tatum.
no, brother.
Bro,
Do
bro,
not be mentioning
we just
people's
asked
name
you,
on my
bro.
platform, bro.
It's your third time now, bro. Third time.
Okay, yeah, chat. Don't make me have to do something to you to make an example of you. Because if I let you get away with stuff, other people gonna think they can get away with something. You know, well, Chat got away with it. So please
All
watch,
right.
watch how you
Okay.
speak.
All right.
Okay, because I like you and I don't want to do it to you, but I would do it to you just to do it so other people know what time it is. Okay.
I'll
Okay.
do it to you, and I don't like you. I don't really know you that well, but I'm pro the rules though. You know, so don't take it offense. I'm just pro the rules, bro. If I gotta abide by the rules, I mean I gotta take off my shoes. You gonna have to take off your goddamn shoes, bro. It
And
is what it is, bro.
exactly. Well said, brother. Well said. So yeah, back to more the subject at hand. My thing is you don't really have problems going on in the black community that cannot be traced literally to white interference. Hold on, my bad. Champ, they done did it to you, brother. They done did it to you. No suit for you, champ. No suit for you. You see, champ. This what happens, man. We got to follow the rules, regardless of who we are, y'all. We have to follow the rules. So it is what it is, champ. You can come back tomorrow. You know how it go, brother. You know how it go. But you out of here today, okay? They done did the no suit for you. Shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. We keeping the order, y'all. We keeping the order, okay? It is what it is. Anybody can get affected. Only Black Guru will not have his suit taken, y'all. It's only him. And that's real talk. Y'all understand that. It ain't personal, it's just business, y'all. It ain't personal, it's just business. Shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. Shout out to the pit crew. Real talk, okay?
Yeah.
Shout out to Trail Bentley.
But now, Roger, if you saying there's no problem that the black community has that don't trace back to white people, then white supr- white then white people, you saying you basically giving them the power to say, yeah, they are superior to us. They are able to outsmart us. They are able to outwit us. They are able to trick us. And I just can't give them that much power, man.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm giving them that power. I'm saying it is an unfortunate reality that a lot of black people have given them that power. If a white person said it, they think it means something. And a lot of black people will put themselves behind white people. White people ain't even trying to get in front of them because of their own belief system. They're gonna put themselves behind a white person. We do that on a regular basis, and we need to cut it out. You know?
which is what I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Which is
Go ahead.
which is why it's very important to educate black people, right? Look,
Facts.
because look, I'm not saying every black person in America should know what all of us know on this panel. We got economic specialists, we have historical specialists, we have blue collar workers that are specialists in their fields. But as far as what's going on politically, socially, and anything that's negatively affecting black people, you got to know the genesis of that problem, right? And that comes through education. Look, I literally was just the other day, like kind of the little thing that I do on the weekends when I have time. I was on a discussion panel where some white guy popped up and said, 600,000 whites fought to free the slaves and they sacrificed their lives. And I completely interrupted him. I shouldn't have, but I interrupted and I said, so that's wrong. And now here's the thing. After I gave the breakdown of who was doing what in the Civil War and why everybody was fighting, do you know that there were black people on the panel that still agree with that white dude?
That shit.
Yeah.
Like that was my biggest thing because really, but now look, again, you're black. I just you said one side was fighting to preserve the Union, which is keep the country from splitting in two, which is what happened when the Confederate States actually formed. The country was split in two. The other side was fighting to keep black people enslaved. I said the only people who were fighting at the start of the Civil War to actually even free any slaves were black men and black men only. And I showed them and I gave them evidence of using primary source documents of what was happening and who was talking about that. The discussion about freeing black slaves wasn't even a discussion until about 18 to 20 months after the war started. The only person who was even talking about it at the beginning was Frederick Douglass, and Abraham Lincoln was rejecting that. It was only till the North started losing and getting the brakes beat off of them by the South that Abraham Lincoln still reluctantly put black men on the roster, and that's how the war got won.
And which was really just about an economic situation. They couldn't maintain a union and keep the economy the way they wanted it to be with slavery going on. So we didn't get free because any white people wanted us free. We got free because of an economic disagreement between white people.
And the Negroes on that panel still went with the white man's, version.
And that white man ice is forever colder, bro. It's the glacier effect, man.
So yeah. So now I do want to make it plain. I don't do that, y'all. I do things for a reason, which is why I have a series called Unsupervised White People. Now, why would I name a series Unsupervised White People? Think about it, y'all.
You a mad
in general, they need to be supervised.
Baby monitor, bro.
They just need it. You know, when they use freedom in a lot of terrible ways, and we got a whole country that we live in right now that we can show what they've done with their freedom. But SOS the interpreter has come up, so let me get him the mic. You got it, my brother.
Good afternoon, Roger, and good afternoon to the panel.
Good afternoon, brother.
I like the topic you have today, Roger, and I've been listening for a while. I think a lot of the brothers have a lot of interesting points. But as long as black people remain Timberland wearing, LeBron James praising, white people will never respect black people. The word Timberland means the land of the birth of time. That's your consciousness and your mind. When they give you that shoes and push it to you and you wear it, they're laughing at you. The name LeBron James, this is a Bill character. The name LeBron James means the king of the brawn. And if you know brain over brawn, brawn means you're stupid. Black man, LeBron James is a symbology of how stupid black people are. And I heard I don't remember who exactly said it, but someone asked a question if white people are superior to black people. Yes, they are. And the reason why I can say that, these people are the masters of your consciousness. Everything that you know, believe, or do was created by these people. The language you speak was created for you and given to you as a limitation to your consciousness, brother. You use a 5-vowel system. You have 5 senses. These are all system of limitation that represent the reptilian mind, brother. You speak, and to speak, take consciousness. That's a sense. To think, take consciousness. Okay, thinking is a sense. The word think come from the word the and link. A compaction of them meaning to make the connections. So thinking is a sense. So when they teach you that you have 5 senses, 5 vowels, these are limitation, brother. And these people have taught you and limit you from birth. When you learn the 11 vowel system, when you learn the APIs to your language, you will be able to go to a deeper level of consciousness that they don't want you to get to, brother. And until we learn to free ourselves from that, you're not going to be able to compete or challenge these people.
So can I say something?
Yo, that's all facts right there. What he just said.
No, it's not. That is some bullshit,
bro.
First of all,
bro, it's real talk. But I'll talk after you because you got the Ivy League career.
No. I mean, so this nigga really came on here and told me that white people are better than black people on the black panel. Chef Mike, what the hell? If that does not break the rule, what the hell?
Can I ask you? I'm gonna say something. I want to say one thing.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not going to talk. I have privilege. No.
Okay, go ahead, and then I'm gonna prove it to you. And then I'm gonna prove what I'm saying.
And I got after him.
You've done enough. You've done enough. So first and foremost, bro, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Second of all, listen.
No, not because you do not know, it doesn't mean you're right. You should ask me why I said that to you, brother, and I can prove it to you. Okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? That really ain't the subject of the show. We might do a whole show on that, but let's kind of focus on the subject of the show for y'all spinning too many different directions.
Yeah, we need a performance review by the Pit Crew.
Wait, but Roger, doesn't the Bible say my people perish from a lack of knowledge?
Well, it does relate to the show.
No, but it's not a fact of lack of knowledge.
No, it
this
didn't.
is his perspective. Because when we look at the tangibles, what black people went through, and then how we got. So first of all, I better not get no suit because this is some bullshit. First of all, you ADOS.
Just calm down. Calm down. Just do your thing, man. Just calm down. I got you. I got you. Calm down.
This dude's not even ADOS, and then come over here talking this shit, right? When we look at the tangibles, when we get out of that 5% of shit, and I love my New York brothers, but this is where I got to get off the bus with Shark Sims and Truth Teller. Yes, Truth Teller's about to get straight right now. Because with this 5% bullshit, when we look at the tangibles, ain't no way no other group of people went through what we went through and can still be standing here with our middle fingers up to the white person. And then this motherfucker want to talk about LeBron James, which I use as satire.
Wait, nobody denying what you just said about being able to have our middle finger up at the white man. But at the end of the day, these motherfuckers know shit that you don't even know you don't even know.
So, but that's spook talk. But Chuck,
it's not. It's not spook talk.
That is very much spook talk. That's very much.
Yo, they took you and gave you a religion. We don't even know what our natural language is. Like yo, the white man. See, this is the problem with I having. Yeah, motherfucker. I'm sorry, Roger. People don't understand how diabolical the goddamn enemy really is.
Chef is warning people. I'm telling y'all that. Something just lit up. That might be Chef coming up right now, y'all.
Well, before he cut me off,
it ain't. It's Jada.
People not understanding how diabolical this devil really is. That's why we don't call him the white man. We call him the devil. He's diabolical from. You know what?
No. This is the thing, y'all. We'll do different subject on a different day. Let's kind of I said.
But this is the subject. This is one of our biggest problems. We don't even believe the enemy is as ill and cunning as the enemy really is.
Okay, so you can't start off by saying that they're better. Because look, if we were, you got to look at it from another perspective. You got to frame it correctly.
Hold on. We're not going to talk about it today. We'll do that on a separate show. The issue today is what's black people's biggest problem, and that's interference. And I think if you want to say anything about it, you could just kind of prove my point that they're interfering with what we got going on. Because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be a part of their education system if they weren't interfering in the first place. What is the thing they want us to do the most when it comes to education? Stop learning what we want to teach our own children and teach them what we want y'all to teach their children. That's what they do.
Yeah, when you start talking about erasing history and lying and distorting it, and then doing everything you can to break up what black people are trying to do that's positive for themselves. I mean, I just gave you guys, people kind of do this when they go back a little bit too far. I try to keep it pretty current within the last 10 to 15 years. I told you about what happened during the pandemic when black men, all those millions of jobs were available. You had corporations outright refusing to hire black men, while at the same time demonizing black men about not wanting to work. You had black women starting their own venture capital fund, while at the same time you had cis white men coming through and suing them because it didn't include white women. Like. There's a few other examples as it relates to the present day housing system. Appraisals, right? And then you had the banking scandal, where you literally had black people who had credit scores, and reports comparable to other candidates who were non-black and still were getting refused. Like, this is the stuff that's happening in present day. So, and people do, well, it's just y'all's fault and y'all were working hard enough. That's the interference. That's the interference. Like it's six in front of your face.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that, Kev.
Hold on, one second, gentlemen. Thank you, Chef Mike. You are a great pit master. Thank you.
Well, hold on. What did he just do? What did he just do?
It's right there. Roger, live no suit for SOS.
You kidding me? I don't even see that yet.
It's right there.
SOS, I'm sorry, brother. But you know what? Come back up after the show, SOS. After the show, come back up, please. But I got to remove you for the day for now. But please come back after the show is over with, okay?
That is a fucking violation. That is a violation.
I'm gonna try to get some order about some things. You know what I'm saying? Y'all come up with some. Well, let's just move on. Let's just move on from that. Okay. Uh,
Gentlemen,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I'm gonna need you unsupervised Negroes to control yourself. It's a gentlemanly show. We talk about great subject, and somebody cannot just interject something that's, I'll say, somewhat relevant, but it's kind of like out there a little too much. You know what I mean? Let's
Well,
let's keep things grounded.
let me say this, y'all people. I just talked about this earlier. People have agendas. If you want something to really be said, if it's too big, don't come in the show and try to change the show from what we're doing to what it is. Just holler at me and say, "Hey, man, I got a great subject for a show. Would you want to do it?" That's what you do. If I like what you're talking about, maybe I'll do it as a show. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I charge $100 for people to tell me what the show subject gonna be. Why do I do that? Because at the end of the day, I do need to make some money. And there's people who respect me that pay the money. Okay. And I do the subjects they want done. It just is what it is. Now, if you give me something that I just want to do anyway, cool. But man, you know, move a little money a little bit, y'all. And y'all know me. I don't ask for money. I do that. I do that because in order to do subject matter, I have to research subjects because I ain't gonna never do a show and I don't know nothing about what I'm talking about because I think that's dumb. Real talk. And I know there's other people who just go off the hip, obviously. And I've already said I've seen other people who have trash content. I'm never trying to put myself in a position where I'm doing trash content. I don't care what it's about. So I'm gonna actually look up some stuff before I do shows about certain subjects. So holler at a brother in private or something, man. Y'all is, you know what I'm saying? Come backstage, say something. Especially if you're a person that joins panel. You know what I'm saying? Holler at me, see what I say. Okay, real talk. But I'm not gonna change the subject of the show during the middle of a show. That's just it don't look right at the end of the day. It's not a good fit. All right. And if you really got to get something off, you better learn how to articulate it and then relate it exactly to the subject of the show we talking about, where everybody gonna get it. Because if they ain't gonna get it, shout out to Chef Mike. He says, you know, the reason he said no soup for SOS was because he said nothing he said was on subject.
No,
Okay.
but Roger, the problem is this: is respect. I am not going to go into a place where I'm not the same as everybody else and be like, oh, these group of people are better than you. That is the ultimate insult. I'm not going to go in somebody's house and say that. That is the problem. And then double down by saying, well, you're not intelligent enough to understand why I'm saying these people are better than you. There's something called respect and decorum.
There is, and I'm gonna say this: most people who say something, and I'm not accusing them, but I'm just telling what it is. Most people who say stuff, they say it from their own viewpoint. So what they
Right.
say about you is really how they see themselves.
Right.
Well,
Right.
he
So
in his defense, he did not say that you're
All
not
right.
intelligent, hot sauce. He
no,
said
he did.
he
Yes, he
said
did.
why
He
don't you
said that.
he said why don't
Hey,
you ask me
we,
why I said what I said. He didn't say you
All
wasn't
right.
intelligent.
we could talk about that after the show if y'all really want to talk about it. But let's keep
I
the
don't even know why
show
he's in this
moving
show.
forward. Let's keep the show moving forward. And we
So
do got Jado here. So let me just let Jado get his opening statement in. Go ahead,
Hey,
Jado.
what up, Roger? What up, fellas? I might get my suit smashed, man. Hey, bro, look.
Can happen to anybody, man. Can happen to
Hey,
anybody.
and if it happens, so be it. But I think we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss that brother that just can't. What is SOS interpreter? The interpreter.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be so quick to dismiss that brother or get emotional about what he's saying without actually look, man, like I'm just saying white folks been a problem for black people for centuries, right? Many great men have come and gone. Many great intelligent black men have come and gone and attempted to right this wrong, right? And haven't quite done it. Have they had some accomplishments? Absolutely. Have we had progress? I mean, I guess it depends on the context. Some would say, many would say yes, we've made progress, but we haven't eliminated the problem. So maybe, just maybe,
some of our tactics or the way that we thinking should be reconsidered, man. Maybe something unconventional may be the answer that we don't agree with. Like I said, many great men have tried to solve this problem, man.
Well,
Much greater than myself. And
well,
I'm just my bad, Roger. But I'm just
no, go
saying,
ahead.
yeah,
So, I was gonna cut you off.
we've had this problem. I agree that this is a big problem for Black people, man. So we can look at, like I said, we can quote the statistics. And hold on, and let me say this first. Shout out to KFC for having the courage and the integrity to challenge Charlie Kirk, man. I definitely salute you on that. And but I'm just saying, like, we can quote the statistics, we can do all of this stuff, but maybe it's something unconventional that's out there that we're not considering. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying I got the answer because nobody say, "Oh, Shadow, you think you know some shit." Maybe not. Maybe I probably don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm just saying, many great men have tried, and it's still here. We're still talking about it. So maybe it's something unconventional.
Well,
Maybe
to
you got
answer
to
that,
drip. I'm just but anyway, and so I'll just end right there. This I think we shouldn't be so quick to be dismissive and get emotional about something, man. So we
Well,
should be anyway. I'll end right there. Yep.
we're
well,
vastly
no, no,
outnumbered.
no
We're
one, well,
vastly
no one
outresourced.
was emotional about it. It's just the fact of you can't come into space and be like, "Oh, these niggas are better than you." We're not. It's like if you said that, fine, because we're the same, right? You're 80 us, I'm 80 us. You can't come in here being a fucking guest or a cousin talking like this. There's respect and forum and decorum. It's not. It has nothing to
Well,
do about being emotional. Number two,
it, it, it
nobody, nobody is up here saying that. Okay, the white man is not a problem. Nobody is sitting here saying that, right? That's the whole discussion of today, right? What's ailing the black community, or what is the biggest problem for black people? It is absolutely white people. We have all said that. We have said that from the very beginning, right? Unsupervised white people. We have all have said that. But the fact is that you come in here talking about, oh, these niggas are better than you and this and that and whatever. That's the issue. And it's not just being about emotional, it's just about having respect.
if we
I
know
Here's the
that's
key to
not,
that.
if we know that, I get it. I'm just saying, if we know that that's not true, man, that shouldn't even bother us
well,
whatsoever.
well, but
well, so
this is what I'm presenting. I think the issue is what a lot of Black people don't really see. Our issue is white interference. We don't see it as that. We do stuff. We just don't see them as interfering in the stuff that we do. We have been indoctrinated into believing that white people have the best interests of people at heart. Now, from a historical standpoint, you can go as far back as to an hour ago, or you can go back to centuries ago. White people have never presented they had any goodwill toward black people, period, in this country. And before America was even the America that we got now, they've never collectively ever shown they had goodwill toward us in any shape, way, or fashion, period. When white people want to help black people, other white people have an issue with those people.
True.
Yeah.
Our main issue is they won't leave us alone. We will go away from them and they got a problem with us. When we around them, they got a problem with us. At the end of the day, they just got a problem with us. And I'm going to say, because black folks have been so gracious, that some of this stuff still exists. Because truth be told, a lot of them should have just been killed on the spot a long time ago. And that's just realistic, because I can't make you treat me better, but I could eliminate you. But
yep.
It's
black
like
people are
Black
nice
Noir is back.
people. We are very gracious people. And I'm not saying that that's a problem, but you can't solve what other people think in their head. At the end of the day, we respectfully let them breathe.
But I
So
mean,
is
but see,
is
that's the
is
issue.
it is it true? Is it true graciousness, Roger, or is it fear?
And no, in a lot of cases, I'm gonna say is true gracious, because when you're dealing with stuff from an individual standpoint, you trying to You don't want to deal with that. You don't want to deal with what you're gonna have to deal with on the other side of it. Because I could just take your life, but then I got to deal with people trying to say I'm a murderer and I got to go to trial and all that other type of stuff. When I should just kill you on the spot.
But see, the
That,
problem
that's
with that, Roger. The
that's
problem with that, Roger, is this: even before you get to that white man, you got to get through a lot of niggas first. Because even on this panel, it's showing that right now, right?
Yeah.
Before I get to that white man, I got to get SOS first.
Yeah, I told you guys. I just gave you an example of just a few days ago where I gave concrete information, provided primary source documents. I always operate off a primary source, and even the black people on the panel were like, "Nah, I'm going with the white man."
Yeah,
like that's a prima facie
but
example. Now I will say this. Check this out. Check this out. Here's another thing, and I'm gonna quote Sun Tzu a little bit here, which is if you know yourself, you know your enemy, you'll know the outcome of 100 battles, right? Look, thing is that that message has to get out to black people. I'm not even concerned if it gets out to anybody who's non-black, but the majority of black people have to get this message and understand what's happening. Because one thing I will give white folks credit for is their propaganda campaign. Their strategic communication is outstanding.
But hey,
Right,
KFC, what you just said, and I'll jump off of this after this. SOS the interpreter was actually saying the same thing you just said, man. He was just saying it in esoteric terms.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Okay, got it. Got you.
So, but I mean, but just like the revolution with Mao Zedong, right? Before Mao Zedong could evacuate the Japanese, he had to kill his homeboys first, or not his homeboys, but he had to get the dissent people out first, even before he had to address the Japanese, right? And that's the same thing we're seeing here, right? That's the same thing we're seeing here.
Now, I'm going to say one of our major issues as well is that somebody will say something, and I'm going to say it because this is what it looked like. Niggas start arguing about niggas, and now the focus is on what white people doing in the first place.
Yeah.
This
That's more
happens on a
interference.
regular basis.
Yes, right. That's exactly. Yes, sir. You're right. That's what I'm saying. We jumping on this dude. Oh man, we got to get rid of this nigga. But
Nah, I'm not saying who doing what. I'm just saying, black people in the various avenues find ways that when the white person is the subject matter, they find ways to argue with each other about what some nigga did.
Yep.
My thing is, I ain't trying to argue about what some nigga did. I'm trying to get people to have a realization of what black people's biggest problem in America is. And I'm pretty sure no one can present an argument that will take away what I say. It is literally white interference. They don't want you to teach your kids. They want to teach your kids. All that separate but equal went out the window because they wanted to make sure your children are reading the books that we think they need to read. So you get white interference.
Right.
You got black schools that go under attack because they start performing well. And what do they usually do? No, we gotta take these niggas up out of here. We gotta put a white person in charge. Now I ain't gonna lie, sometimes they'll get a black woman to be in charge, but that black woman is gonna do exactly what them white folks want her to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real problem having black men hit anything in this country if we just want to tell the truth. Now, why is that? Because when you have black men head stuff, it's harder to get black men to involve themselves in white interference. Because they're going to be like, nah, I'm a grown man. I'm going to do what I want to do. Plenty black men take on the attitude. And if you take that attitude, white people can't have you in charge. It is what it is.
That's one of the reasons you get that. So remember, somebody caught the last part of it. That was about that quote unquote absent father situation, right? Now you have people running all over the country talking about black fathers that are not in the home, while you have systems in place to do everything they can. And when I say systems, I'm talking about cooperation from people who are black too. That's they're part of the system, and they're integrating themselves into that system. They do everything they can to remove the black man while they're actually while they're actually complaining about the problem loudly. We got to get more black fathers in the home. Okay, if you really want to have that conversation, if you really want to have a discussion, you have to actually analyze how and why what happened. Because at one point, now remember, even when black fathers were in the home at an 80% plus rate, black men were still being taken out, removed. We got one of our greatest activists was taken out in his own driveway. Like, no, we got a black man leading in his home. his family and trying to lead his people, oh no, he got to go.
And my
That's
thing,
interference. That's open interference. Open in your face.
and what I would have personally loved to have said to Charlie Kirk myself once I got refamiliarized with who he was. Because if he'd ever said something like that to me, I would have literally asked him, how come you white people sponsor women being in a different home than the one that the fathers have? Why do you sponsor that and then say it's a problem? See, one thing, I don't let people have it both ways. You can't tell me that my performance is bad and you the one controlling my performance. You don't get it both ways. When if you say, man, I want you to put these boxes in this shape here, we need this over here like this, and I do it exactly the way you say do it, and then you come back and say, well, your performance ain't good enough. Nigga, you the one told me to perform it in this way. You can't say it's my fault when I followed your instructions. And how can you say you have a problem with fathers not being in the home when you literally pay for the mothers to be at a different location? That don't make any level of sense. But like I say, black folks, we involve ourselves with propaganda so much that we just don't even pay attention to the facts. There ain't no problem with black women going to other homes that white people ain't trying to make sure they can either pay for themselves or they just gonna go ahead and spend the money on it themselves. Because they'll try to put a woman in a position where she can afford some other home. And also, they'll just simply flat out, if she can't figure it out, well, if she just won't get it right, we'll just pay for it anyway. Because the last thing we need is for a black man to raise his own children. That's white interference all day long. You know, that's why I say I think my parents, they got a few key things right. That's, they told me, even when I'm in school, basically give them white people the answer they want, but understand what the truth actually is. These white people will not give you an A if you put the truth on your reports. If you answer certain questions with the truth, they will not give you an A. Just give them the answer they're looking for so you can graduate.
That's facts.
Just
We are.
understand they're paid to lie to you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I could relate to that. That's something that I think that kind of like permeates our communities. We kind of are stuck into this two realities type of a situation, and trying to navigate that throughout the world can be kind of difficult.
Yeah. And I'm going to say shout out to all the folks involved in the coverage of 9/11. When 9/11 happened, y'all, keep in mind, I'm a young man watching news coverage. And they started saying that, the buildings probably fell because the fire was too hot. One of the first rules I learned in Boy Scouts about fire, the darker
they
the smoke,
wanted.
the hotter the fire. Now, it's people on the news talking about the buildings probably fell because the fire got too hot. How do you get that on the news when me, with just being trained as a Boy Scout, already know that the hotter the fire, the darker the smoke? And you got white smoke, and you talking about the buildings fail? These are buildings made to sustain an airplane crash. So what does that tell me as a person who don't buy into propaganda the way they want me to? If the news is saying it on one channel, and then I flip to the next channel and the news saying it on that channel, and I flip to another channel and so on and so forth, and they all saying the same dumb thing, I understand somebody was paid to lie to me. Point blank, period. Media has huge impacts on stuff. That's why I believe you cannot do a political arm and have it work for you without a media arm working for you as well. You got to get people to buy into propaganda for it to really work. You got to. And that's why I say black people's biggest problem is literally white interference. We got so many black people who ain't even came out of being a white supremacists themselves yet. And they will argue with you all day long because of something they feel like, because ain't no proof of nothing they saying. We literally got a just about a whole movement, as far as I can tell, That whole pro-black movement. I've done heard so much white supremacy every time I went to some pro-black movement. And to me, that's why I don't even honor them with calling them pro-blacks. Pro-blacks are people like King, who literally put his life on the line so we can get ahead. I'm not gonna honor those people by calling them pro-blacks. All they want to do is have sex with white men and get some money off a program. That's what it seems like a lot of them are doing. You're not a pro-black if that's what you're doing. Go ahead, whoever
when I'm
spoke.
talking to other people, Roger, I always talk about the pro-blackness, right? And I always end it with the statement of black male leadership. And it's because I'll say a whole bunch of other stuff before that, but I always end it with black male leadership, right? And interesting enough, most of the men are like, oh okay, all right. Now you'll get some pushback from some women, because now black male leadership. What do you mean by that? Literally, what I just said, black male leadership. All of that pro-blackness and stuff, that package and all the stuff you're talking about, yada yada yada. Black male leadership. If we ain't the head of it, then it's not pro-black.
Exactly. Now we done had so much time in this country where people swear they pro-black but don't have no idea about black male leadership, don't think about what it is, or don't even refuse to understand why it should even be included. How do you advance anything as a group of people without the men backing it up? You don't. And that's just the reality. There is literally nothing on this planet that can survive without men backing it. Nothing. There ain't no village on this planet without some men backing that village. It ain't no tribe on this planet without men backing that tribe. It ain't no building standing up that can stand up without men backing that it needs to stand. Literally. Nothing stands without men. But you go to pro-black folks, they always talking about somebody else needs to be in charge other than the black man. How you gonna be pro-black and don't want a black man in charge? That's insane when you actually think about it.
Yeah, when it comes time to actually do the thing, actually put in the work, actually roll up your sleeves, actually get out there and do the labor, like, yeah, it's gonna be us.
So when I start looking at black people and their problems, what problems do we have that don't include white interference? Think about that.
Even when you talk about today, the phrase is urban areas, basically ghettos, right? Even when you talk about that, you know who literally created those ghettos? Those ghettos were specifically created to actually force black people into those areas, and then the government at the city and state level allowed them to turn into basically what they are by removing resources, by lack of investment, education, proper political representation, and funding, and everything else. And then complain about the actual result. You gotta. So here's the thing, and this is what white people are trying to avoid. You got to fix everything you broke, and if you're not going to do that, then you got to deal with the outcomes. All right. And this is how you can't escape the white interference tag. And that's and I'm telling you, when you have these conversations, they'll do everything it's the culture. It's that music you guys listen to. It's Nicki Minaj. And no. You can even argue that Nicki Minaj and women like her and Glorilla are a product of white interference. You can make that point too. And when I did make that point, yes, the white people were offended. They're like, damn, he got us again. Get this
Gentlemen,
nigger off the
can I say
panel.
something, please?
Oh, I
Please,
like
real quick.
Yeah, go
Can I say
ahead.
something real
And then
quick?
I'll circle back in after you. Sure.
All right. Due to what they did to Black Americans, America has the Black people that it deserves, that it created. Okay? If they think or they see that Black people are a bunch of hoodlums, goblins, that's because that is their creation. Why are they complaining about their creation? They manufactured it.
Well, I'm gonna say it's not even about us seeing it. It's not about them seeing it. It's about you seeing it that way. Their white interference is designed to have us argue with each other so we never take them off where they need to be. That a lot of that is for us. Now, granted, it's also to the byproduct is younger white people will buy into the nonsense as well. But that's truthfully for us. You need to see yourself as a nigga. Cause I know I can't keep you in check. But if you see yourself as a nigga, then I ain't gotta worry about it.
And here's another thing that they haven't like considered, like the interference that they've given to us actually interferes with them as well. Like you're still going to pay reparations whether you like it or not, but you're either going to pay it in terms of maintaining the wound that you caused, or you're going to pay for fixing it. One way or another, you're still going to pay.
Yeah, the militarized law enforcement, that's billions that actually could go towards, economic infrastructure, education, and a whole bunch of other programs and things that would be beneficial, not just to black people, but to everybody else.
Now
But
I'm gonna say
I
this,
don't.
y'all.
Well,
A while back, I started learning some stuff. Y'all know I live in Chicago. There's the 94/90 expressway that goes through Chicago, right? And I was hearing about this part where the 94 and the 90 come together. All right. They was telling me about this black area that was doing all this good stuff. So what did they do? They hit with the eminent domain and ran an expressway through it. Okay. I was hearing about this some years ago.
Same
Now, a
thing
few
with
weeks
Central
ago,
Park. It's a part. It's a part of Central Park. It was a black community, and they used Central Park to cut that whole shit, cut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
So intimate domain is another way of just saying y'all niggas gotta go.
Now, I also heard about another thriving area going on in Chicago. Okay. That got uprooted to put in the 290 expressway. Learned this a few weeks ago. So what I'm telling y'all is this. Don't get me wrong. I would love for black folks to really pick about 3 states. I did a show on this in the past. You know what I'm saying? 3 to maybe 4 states where we just move and we could just be okay. But I do have to understand the realization that it's going to be attacked by white folks. So everybody who think your location is a problem, you don't have to be realistic. If we all went to the same town, we all went to the same state, whatever the case is, they are literally going to attack us, and we got to be ready to defend it because they don't like us like that. And y'all, you know what I'm saying? Some the people, I'm just the people that include, y'all swear it's black people holding black people back. No, there's always white interference to disrupt black people doing good things for black people. We don't have one example of anything in this country where black people said, let me do this to help my people, and you don't have white interference involved in it. You don't have one example. Nobody out there under the sound of my voice can name one thing where black people put something good together for black people and white people didn't try to interfere with it. You can't name one thing in this country. Not one. You can't even say the Nation of Islam. They've been trying to interfere with that for decades.
Yeah. So as you were just talking about three or four states, actually originally the idea was actually to get 5 states: Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and a couple other states. Right. It was supposed to be called the Republic of New Africa, in and around that area in the southeastern portion of the United States. So that way you had coastal access, some land, and then you were connected to the contiguous portion of the United States, right? Because that's where goods and service, products and exports and import export you with the coastline, and then on top of that, you got with the contiguous connection to the other states. Now you can do interstate commerce. So that was supposed to happen. You know who shut that down? White interference.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm gonna say I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about a show I did that didn't necessarily include that. But the whole thing is white interference is always there to mess up black people in any way that black people come together, make a plan, and try to make any particular move. You know what I'm saying? So fighting white people is gonna come to territory. And that's just something I think black people need to get over. Real talk. You're going to quote unquote make some enemies by existing. Because white people don't want you to exist. And they definitely don't want you, they don't want to be in this country with you doing better than them. Now think about that, y'all. I'm sure every single person that met some white person you was doing better than them, and they done found out you doing better than them. And just think about how they looked at you when they found out you doing better than them. Have you ever been congratulated by a white person for doing better than them? Ever? And some of y'all got some friends that's white. Y'all say, my friend is white. Has your white friend ever congratulated you for doing better than them?
Well, me personally, I never expect a white person to congratulate me on anything other than something that I do for them. So that's not that. I'm never looking for that from a white
No,
person because I know the enemy is the enemy.
no, I do get that point, but I'm saying it's people that don't understand that, and they call themselves having white friends. And again, I'm not saying every white person is bad, but if you're doing better than a white person, would they congratulate you?
Some will, man. Some will. I have white
I
people
mean,
that will.
I find that they do that quite often, Roger. They're just doing it deceitfully, man. They're trying to get you to let your guard down. They do it quite a bit, actually, from what
I
I've
ain't.
seen.
I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
scared to even let them know.
I take your word for it. That's all I can say because I ain't never seen it.
So I do have a critique of the good white people, though. They're never in positions of power and authority to actually affect any change that's actually going to get things right. They're never. You can't ever find them in position. It's as if the worst ones are always in the positions of power and authority, and they're the ones making all these decisions. And then it's like, oh well, it's not me. I can't. Well, I can't stop that guy. He's just out of control. Yeah, you can. You're the best person to stop
Well, I'm gonna say this. I do believe that white people ain't gonna just let you be cool with black folks, and then they just gonna say, "Yeah, it's cool for that white person to amass some power." You know what I'm saying? Any white person that's cool with black people is gonna have I'm gonna say a different set of challenges. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have a different set of challenges. But I don't think black people need to be stupid enough to think for a second they don't know that that's their cousin. Because I get what you were saying earlier about how white people like, well, it's not me, but it's your cousin
When
though.
I was in when I was in college, I had a white professor at HBCU. He was really into the civil rights movement. Well known. Pictures of him with Dr. King and Medgar Evers. Really down for the cause. And he was a very brave man, very uniquely brave, even for especially for a white man. And he was about one of the things that he would do or would attempt to do back then was he would try to go and integrate churches in Mississippi. This was during the 60s. uh, and he would take some brave black people with him and they would go and enter churches. And, you know, much of the time, the white people would try to be civil. Sometimes there would be whatever, but because it was church, um, it would be kind of a muted response to their presence. One time, he took some black people to a church. They sung in the choir with the good white people. It's a great experience. So they leave the church. He leaves the church. He has a bus with the black folks. So they leave the church. So a few miles away from the church, they're cut off by a pack of white dudes in pickup trucks. You can imagine the scene. They took him off of the bus, didn't mess with any of the black folks on the bus at all. Took him off the bus, beat him within an inch of his life, and just left him there and drove off. Black folks took him to, went on the bus, took him to the hospital, whatever. Uh, and that dude kept on doing what he was doing, even after that happened, after he recovered. That's what you're expecting of a white person who's willing to stand up to the villainry of his kin. That's a marked man or woman. That's
I
what
mean,
you're asking of them.
salute to that white man who did that. Real talk. 'Cause- and I think that's a very good example of what it really is when you say, "I need white people to do this." That's why the white people who do it. That's why I can have so much respect for them. I know what they have to You know, I get what they have to give up in order to take on these roles.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, man, I'm not like I'm not trying to. I'm asking this question sincerely, and I'm not trying to take away from that story. Is it possible that that white man that was taking the black people to that church is just a more sophisticated racist? And then I guess the white people that beat him up, the white men that beat him up were just the more brute type of racist, but they're both racist. Because I'm trying to see what was his
Well,
aim in just bringing black folks to the church. What was his true? What was he truly trying to get to happen, man? I don't know. I don't. Yeah. That's
well,
that's
I
me.
mean, I think his presumption was we are all human beings under God, and we should all be together. You know, he taught at an HBCU. That's all he did. And this guy was Harvard educated. He could have taught anywhere in the country. He was a well-known professor, well-known philosopher for his time. He had every opportunity, and he wanted to help black people, and he was willing to risk his life to do it, albeit whatever flawed perspective he would have of a white man who was probably born in, you know, what, 19 teens, I guess, if I think about, do the math. So, I mean, I'm sure, you know, there would be parts of his view of things that those of us who've been born much later in life might take some exception to. But, you know, there are no perfect people. There are no perfect perspectives. There are no perfect arguments or positions on these issues. But he was as genuine a white man I've ever encountered in my life. He was as genuine a man as I've ever encountered in my life, because he was willing to die for what he believed in. And
Yeah,
even
I'm
a
gonna take
lot
at
of
face
the
value of
critiques
being genuine
about
in the sense
a
that.
lot
Oh,
a
I'm
lot
sorry.
of the critiques about a lot of the critiques I have about when people have these critiques about Dr. King and et cetera, whatever, you know, I always say all of us are 40, 45, 50, 55, in my case, over 60. Dr. King was killed before he was 40 years old. So it was very damn convenient for us to judge the decisions of what was still very much a young man before he died. And so I'm cautious about, you know, we can critique things, but I just think sometimes it's interesting how, you know, we don't fully, you know, Malcolm X, 39 years old. Interestingly enough, both Malcolm X and Dr. King died at age 39. Both of them. With a mess of children left in tow.
So Black Guru, I actually do appreciate that story, and because guys like that professor was so few, I'm going to accept him as genuine in the sense that, look, if that was 70 or 80% of the population, okay, see, that would have been the difference. But that guy was like probably less than what 0.2% of the white population, if that. And the fact that he actually suffered as a result of it and almost lost his life, you know, that harkens back to, you know, 1859, John Brown, you know, the raid on Harper's Ferry, where he and,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know, a
this
few of
is
his
a guy.
sons.
He
You know
was
what I'm saying?
he was born in the Northeast from a waspy, relatively affluent family. Like I say, he went to Harvard. I think he went to Cornell and then got a PhD at Harvard. And he decided to go teach at HBCU in Mississippi in the 60s. You know, in the turmoil of the struggle. So, I mean, that's what you're asking of that intrepid white man or woman, because they're going to put them through it. Best believe.
Yeah. And it was a great way to give warning to you know, to you niggas. You know, that's how they see it. You know, you niggas.
Mm-hmm.
We will take our own because we hate you niggas so much. You know, And
Well, no,
that's part of.
actually, the example was not for the black people. The example was for other
I mean,
white people.
I know
Exactly.
for
That's
other
what the
white people
true
too.
message was for. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it
that's what
definitely
the
was for other
message was
white folks
really.
too. You know, look what happened till you help these niggas. You know, that was their message.
Hmm.
You know, but I'm just gonna say it was a little interesting because they left all them black people alone. And you know what I'm saying? So obviously the
Hmm.
message was for white folks, but they could have got some niggas too. You know what I'm saying? They left that alone because it was so important for them to stress the white people that we'll get you for helping these niggas. You know,
Yeah,
but
because
it
for
does
them it
serve
wasn't
proof that
even
a good
about the.
go ahead.
Well, for
Go ahead.
them it wasn't about. It wasn't just about the violation. It was about his treachery. And that's one thing that I would say that white people respect or deal with, I think, more adroitly than we do, and that is treachery. We do not deal very well with treachery, with being betrayed, and it's been part of our problem.
Yeah, we're definitely a much more gracious people than they are. It just is what it is. And sometimes, I mean, you can make argument that we may have taken the grace a little bit too far sometimes because of things that have happened. But y'all, we have hit the 3 hour mark. I hope SOS is still backstage. Yeah, he's still backstage. So I do want to talk to you a little bit after the show. But y'all, it's been a fantastic show if you ask me. Okay. If y'all are new out here, and if you just coming in, definitely hit the replay because this is really interesting. And if y'all want the realest content you can get, I understand it's a lot of fluff out there, and niggas like fluff. But if you want some hardcore content like this on a regular basis, subscribe to the channel, man. We do this Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago time, not your time. 9 a.m. Chicago time. So subscribe to the channel. But I'm gonna bring this to a close so we done hit the 3 hour mark. I know somebody got to be new out there. Somebody got to be new. Oh, you know what? Shout out to my main man, Floyd Thompson. Let me circle back to the cash apps real quick before I close it out to make sure y'all. All the money on the wood is good at the Roger Report Live. Okay, all the money on the wood is good at the Roger Report Live. And if you want to send something when we off air, I'll just definitely highlight it on the next show. So appreciate that. Appreciate that. Y'all, I've been asked to go to the cash app, but I don't see nothing back there, y'all. I don't see nothing. So ain't nothing popped up as of yet. Floyd, I'm assuming you must have did something since you the man who said something about cash app, or maybe you was just looking out for other people. It ain't popped up yet. That's all I can say, y'all. It ain't popped up yet. I'm refreshing the screen. I'm refreshing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Shout out to my main man, Floyd Thompson. He says, and I appreciate the $7.77. Hashtag Kirk got out of Kevin C. Wade tax. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. And yes, I'm going to say that's exactly what Kirk was doing because he was taking body blows. And if y'all really think he wasn't, you got to ask yourself, how come he ain't posted that footage? Now, I do hope somebody on his team mess up and they post the footage. That's what I do hope for. But we're going to take Black Rule suggestions and look into seeing if we can get a hold of that footage. Real talk, because I want to see that whole conversation. Shout out to Floyd Thompson again, who came through with $5.55. He said, hashtag remember Tunis Campbell tax. Hey, appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Shout out to SOS, the interpreter. He says, I got degrees from school, but not to read. Interesting, y'all. I got degrees from school, but not to read. I appreciate that, SOS, and I appreciate you for holding on because he's holding on backstage because I definitely want to holler at him after the show. And shout out to my main man Afro Merchant who dropped $5.57. Shout out to you for the Trail Bentley tax as well. He said, shout out to KFC. And yeah, y'all, let's make this public. Yo, shout out to KFC for going into the Lion's Den. You took time out to go where the battle was. You didn't have to do it, but you did it. You know, you said you took a little bit of a drive, had to wait a couple hours just to set a fire to him. And even though we all ain't seen the chat, there's some people who saw it, and then I know it affected them. So shout out to you, KFC, for doing that, man. Much respect to you. Much respect to you. Real talk for going into the Lions Den and getting the job done. Because if you didn't get the job done, we'd have been seeing that posted. And that's real talk.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Roger. Hey, just real quick, Tunis Campbell was an important man in the state of Georgia.
But matter of fact, hold fast. Say what you want to say. KFC will have the last word, and we're gonna close it out right after him. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So, you mentioned Tunis Campbell. Tunis Campbell was an important black man during the era of Reconstruction in the state of Georgia. Now, you guys know that 17 black men served in Congress during Reconstruction at the federal level, but he did most of his work in the state of Georgia, and he's very important in that state, which is why they're giving him a lot of love. So shout out to him for that. And then the other thing too is, so October 14th is like a national day of remembrance for Mr. Kirk. I would suggest, that what black people should do on that day is run around to HBCUs and primarily black schools and actually talk about, some of the stuff that Mr. Kirk was saying and what other people like him were saying, and actually use that as a day to, analyze his statements and then come up with counters and teach young black folks at every level, from the college all the way down to the middle school. Elementary, middle school, we can argue about elementary, but at least at the middle school through college level. So that by the time they become young adults, they have a good idea of some of the stuff that they're going to hear once they get out here in the world. So that's a challenge that I'm actually going to try to take upon for myself, do that stuff at HBCUs and see if they'll invite me or allow me to do that on or something similar, even if it's not on that day, but, around that date, and try to do and put that information out there, and maybe we can shift it around the nation. It starts somewhere. Every journey starts with the first step. So here we go. All right. Thanks for the show, Roger. Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate you for taking it up to him, brother. Real talk. Because I know you whooped him. Again, it would have been posted already. And guess what, y'all? Y'all just keep your fingers crossed. Maybe somebody gonna accidentally post it because Charlie ain't around to stop him no more, y'all. Sometimes people make mistakes, y'all. And I'm gonna hope that particular footage is gonna be one of the times where somebody make a mistake. And that's real talk, okay? And shout out to Big Mo 89. He says in the Cash App, $5. Thank you very much, my brother. He said, thanks for the informative stream. Hey, appreciate that, Big Mo. Appreciate that, y'all. And again, we do this Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago time. Yeah, even if you live in Detroit, it's Chicago time. And I'm going to say, you know what? Shout out to Passport OG, bro. I was listening to your video last night. I'm just going to say, I feel like shots were taken. I'm just going to say that to Passport OG. I know he in the class listening. I'm sure he is. I feel like when I watched that last video, a great video about the controversy of what's going on with the WNBA, I just feel like shots were taken. I'm not saying you actually took any, but it sure felt that way, brother. It sure felt that way. But shout out to you, and I'm going to continue to support you, my brother. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. I'm Roger. You know what? Shout out to Black Uru, too, who came up with a good mic, because, y'all, Black Uru he was going to Mrs. Z channel for a while with a good mic, y'all. And then all of a sudden, he'd come over here on the weekdays, and then for some reason, he couldn't talk because the mic wouldn't work and all that. I was starting to take it personal. I went up on Mrs. Z channel, and I was spending with him. I was with him, man. I was like, Black Uru, clear as day over here. Why he keep coming with the trash mic to Roger Report Live? And y'all know what I said? I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to buy Black Uru a mic. That's what I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to buy him a mic because he won't come with a good mic over here, but he'll go to Mrs. Z's with a good mic. I don't know what's going on in that scenario. Maybe we'll talk about it backstage in between our Bible study, y'all. Because that's what we do backstage. Y'all keep that in mind. We gonna get to the Bible study. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.